The following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Hey.
What?
Let's go!
This show stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for.
McAfee on the line with a gorgeous assist.
The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers.
You pig!
Stop! Damn it! Be a friend, tell a friend something nice could change their life. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to our humble abode, the Thunderdome. On this feel-good Friday, April 4th, 2025, this program begins now.
Sports!
Our wonderful, and we can't thank you enough for allowing us to do this every single day. There's a lot going on in the sports world, including the Final Four tomorrow. Shout out to two SEC teams battling in Auburn and Florida, and Houston and Duke. That begins at 6:09 tomorrow. We will have Jay Will joining us in the next hour, about 1:10 or so. He's obviously going to be covering it with College Game Day, and obviously he's one of the greatest college basketball players of all time, especially at Duke. But we won't just talk about the Final Four, which is obviously going to be electrifying, and we're almost at the crescendo of one shining moment of this particular March Madness, so we'll certainly have to chit-chat about that. But also, how about the NBA?
Yeah.
Big news in the NBA. We'll have Shams joining us here in about 10 to 15 minutes or so, because there has been a fine levied by Adam Silver against one of the NBA's young stars. Morant has been fined $75,000 for multiple finger gun gestures. I think the most recent one, if you read this, is they told him about an hour before the game, listen, okay, this was the whole thing. Can't be doing it. And then he hits a shot. He can't help himself. He's like, I'm a sniper, baby. Oh, boom, 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 boom. You see that? This is the first quarter. This is the first quarter of the game. Probably 20 minutes after they talk to him. He just, natural instinct, Pavlov's dogs. Ring the bell, slobber, give a treat, keep it moving. Morant says, I'll make a big-time shot. It doesn't matter when it is. Immediately, who's the shooter? I am. And this is obviously a story from a couple years back whenever he was on Instagram Lives, and every time he seemingly went on Instagram Live, he had to find a gun, and then it was obviously a big scene, and he was the next big star. He had a Powerade deal. He was going to be the guy that was not only going to lead Memphis, but the NBA into a next generation. He was going to be the next face of the NBA, because this guy is electrifying to watch play basketball. I think in this particular game he went bananas. I think he had a game winner maybe 2 nights ago, whatever the case is. Ja is a great basketball player. The gun thing, though, I think the NBA has been saying, yes, we understand that other people might have a gun celebration. This thing is technically what is a gun, what is not a gun. But if you follow along with what the NFL has been trying to do, what the NBA is trying to do, they're trying not to promote the gun thing. So Morant is obviously synonymous with that because of his lives and everything that's taking place. So I think they're probably going to judge him a little harsher than everybody else. Ja just needs to know that that's reality of the business for him. And if his body just can't.
Yeah.
What if he shoots and then somebody comes and holds his arms down? Teammate needs to come in and hold. Maybe his dad. His dad's always courtside, right? I mean, the other night he hit a layup. I think 10 seconds left. He was dribbling down the court, so casual, shook somebody's shit out of him, does the layup, wins the game, and then he immediately it was against Miami. It was unbelievable. Just so casual. 3 seconds left, no big deal. Step back, hit that, sprints down the other end, daps up his dad. I believe his dad is on the other end. Just runs down. How you doing? Keep it moving. There's dad. Maybe dad comes out after a big time shot and like that hug, just holds his arm.
Sure.
Just holds his arms down in the entirety. Because we need you, Ja. Hey, Ja. We need you in the sports world, okay? We need you to continue to play, not only for Memphis, but for whoever. We just need you doing your shit because you are awesome. We'll talk to Shams about what the next steps are in the entirety of that. And then there's football news. Obviously, there's some new contracts that have been announced, so we'll chit-chat about all that and wrap up the week that was. The Toxic Tables here at Boston Connor, at Ty Schmidt, sweet shirt.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate that. The gun conversation, it feels almost American, and I figured I'd bring the shirt into it a little bit.
You're talking about Second Amendment right there, bro.
Exactly. Amendments are a big conversation right now. T. Morant actually there with his girlfriend as well. Don't know if you saw that. That was cool to see. But it's kind of like the Papa John situation where he couldn't help him. You know, he's been trying for months and months to stop this type of thing. And
This is a quote from Papa.
From Papa.
We did not create this quote.
Nope, not at all.
So people following along, and you can do your own research.
Probably should always. We did ours on the Giants of yesteryear, but with Ja, he is so good. But this goes all the way back to last year, and their entire team has kind of crumbled. Maybe not crumbled, but changed in the last 2 weeks. Here, what they don't show is Buddy Hield very smartly kind of sneaks a little gun at Ja, maybe to kind of bait him into it. Yeah,
Draymond snitching on him a bit.
Yeah, Draymond says, "Look at him."
I don't think he was snitching. I think Draymond. What are we? This is.
Give him a technical foul.
What are we doing? Draymond and LeBron were getting after it last night.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Draymond and LeBron obviously very close friends. Draymond still got the Draymond, but whenever we talk to Shams, it's like, I appreciate that Adam Silver doesn't immediately just suspend Ja for this. Okay, $75,000 fine's a lot of money. Okay, I understand he's getting paid millions of dollars. Basketball players get compensated very well. $75,000 is still a good. That's a good amount of cash. Not nearly as much as it could be. And also, I assume that there's some conversation about him potentially being suspended for something like this, which has certainly happened in the past. So we're happy that that's not the case. Ja, we hope you can get through it. We hope you can get through a game and just take out a sword.
There you go.
Take out a sword.
Can he do the bow and arrow?
Bow and arrow, yeah. Pull out
I
don't know if you can do that one.
I think the sword's the play.
Yeah, I think
is he doing a crossbow? Is that why?
We always ask this.
Oh, you think it's a handheld crossbow?
Because now he's down here. With
it is kind of a
Before
crossbow.
he was bang, 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 bang. Like this is the end.
Yeah.
But now
crossbow you can use during bow season too. So I think if you were to talk to gun experts, they would say that is a bow and arrow.
Because he's here. Now, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with
Adam Silver say our gun people have talked about that maybe being a heavy barrel.
Yeah, combat shotgun.
Yeah, sawed off one.
Ooh.
Yeah, maybe even, hell, he might be a sniper, might be a 50.
Oh, 50
shouldn't be putting your hands up there.
But the 3-pointer.
A lot of this, we'll talk to Shams about it. Shams has had to learn probably a lot about the Second Amendment and everything through it all. But, Ja, what we want you to know is we need you, okay? We all like watching you play basketball. If you think it's unfair, you're not allowed to do that. Okay, just go about your life thinking that it's unfair. That is just how it just can't be. And I saw his tweet, Ja this, Ja that, a couple of nights ago, and it's like, Ja man, we need you, brother. We need you out here. That's all we want to see is how great you can be. Let's go to one half of the hammer, Dahn, ball cap boys. I see you decked out in some Pittsburgh stuff. What's going on, pal?
It's opening day and home opener for the Buccos. Say they're facing the Yankees at 4:12 p.m. And if people aren't aware, 412, 412, that's the area code of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Allegheny County. So a great start time there. Just going to blow the doors off the Yanks today. Mitch Keller's on the mound, who's the Pirates' number 2 behind Paul Skeens. It should be an easy W, easy opponent. It's going to be a great day in Pittsburgh.
Nothing really happened in baseball last night, right? Or yesterday?
Well, it's funny he mentions that easy opponent blowing the doors off. The Yankees actually set the record for most home runs through 6 games in the history of baseball. So I don't know if that's necessarily accurate. They're hitting the baseball out of the park at a record a pace in which no one's ever done it before. So we'll see. Yeah, but very, very few baseball games last night. Only like 5. We got a full slate today. A lot of games, but we'll see. It should be a good series in Pittsburgh.
Basketball stole the show last night. Giannis goes absolutely bonkers against the
Philadelphia 76ers.
Philadelphia 76ers, obviously a team that is supposed to be successful, but never is for some reason as of late. Giannis goes bananas, 35 points, 20 assists. Okay. So he goes 35, 20, and 17. Don't know why we did 35, 17, 20, whatever the case. Classic D-Bone here on the graphic. Just wanted to put them in the proper order of what a rebound is versus an assist. Whatever the case, 35, 20, and 17 is absurd. This guy is the guy that was said to potentially be able to score a couple hundred points in a 1970s NBA game. Since coming to the United States of America, didn't even really have a basketball game when he got here. He was just so athletic and understood kind of the basics of it. All he's done is get better and better and better and stronger and stronger and stronger. Last night he goes bananas and absurd. This follows a 61-point game, triple-double that Jokic had, a 52-point game that Steph had. The NBA's hot right now. Giannis obviously the most recent.
Yeah, he's ridiculous, and I believe the first ever 30-20-20 game happened this year with Jokic, so he was very close to that. This is going to be basically the Milwaukee Bucks Hawks for the foreseeable future. We talked about yesterday or the day before about Damian Lillard having those blood clots and him being out for a little bit now. And so it's basically just going to be, hey, let's give the ball to Giannis. Let's see what happens. And, everyone just play off of him. I believe Doc Rivers also was out with an illness. So Darvin Ham kind of returned to the sideline yesterday. A lot of people saying he looked like a deer in headlights, but that is that's irrelevant because they beat the Sixers. And to your point, yes, the Sixers, Embiid, Maxey, and Paul George, their big three coming into the year. Oh, look out for the Sixers. Look out for the Sixers. Same thing happened to the Sixers as it always does. They stink. Actually, they are kind of one of those bottom 5 teams who might be in it for the top 5, that number 1 pick because of the NBA lottery. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, expect a lot of this from Giannis going forward and in the playoffs.
Okay, and we have some NFL news. Massive extension signed for West Virginia legend Geno Smith and the Las Vegas Raiders. If you do recall, there was a situation with the Seattle Seahawks and Geno Smith where allegedly they offered Geno Smith a contract that was comparable to what Sam Darnold ended up receiving, which was 3 years, $100.5 million. So you go about $33 million per, if that is an accurate statement on what Sam Darnold's deal was. Obviously, public numbers versus actual numbers have been a little bit different here whenever it comes to NFL contracts since the beginning of time. This one's 2 years, $75 million. That could go up to $85.5 million. Congratulations on $66.5 million guaranteed at this stage. Brand new home in Las Vegas. And Geno Smith, you're the guy to lead this next era in Las Vegas. Congratulations. Yeah. Obviously, he led like the number 1 offense in the NFL like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Seattle then obviously underwent a lot of change, a lot of turnover. They're trying to start brand new. Sam Darnold will be the quarterback for that in the Schneider-McDonald era as opposed to the Schneider-Carroll era. Pete Carroll, now the head coach at Las Vegas. Geno Smith follows him over there after turning down a deal for $33.5 million to get $37.5 million, it appears. So congratulations to Geno. I'm happy for him, and Tom Brady really, really likes him. And I think that could maybe be the best compliment that Geno Smith has ever got.
Yeah, it's multiple years, like you just mentioned it. The
first quarterback that Tom Brady has paid.
Yeah, first one. And traded for. Like actually gave stuff up to get him, not just like a free agent. But the Darnold contract, the entire thing was, hey, this is actually just a 1-year deal. The conversation around it was, oh, wow, Geno said no to this deal, and he's basically signing the same one. No, because the Darnold deal essentially is a 1-year, $35 million deal, whatever. That's the only thing that's guaranteed. So good on Geno getting $66 million. That's absurd.
And this basically, like, obviously Pete's familiar with Geno, and Pete has a 3-year contract, and with this 2-year extension, this is basically tying Pete and Geno together. I mean, well, could Pete be there past 3 years? Who knows? He could be, but for these 3 years where the Raiders are trying to flip their culture and everything around and kind of get just like the base layer of what this organization is going to be moving forward and changing that culture from what it has been. So it feels like Geno and Pete the next 3 years are going to be that, and then they'll probably move on after that and see what's going on.
Ty, Geno's professional football story arc is a crazy one. You know, obviously high school, highly regarded, comes to West Virginia, lights it up with Tavon Austin, Stedman Bailey and the boys. He has great success, gets drafted to New York, obviously highly sought after. This is going to go well, doesn't go well, ends up going not well at all. Has to bounce around, become a backup, and then he finally gets his time to back in the light, and he's taking advantage of it, Geno has.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I don't think he really needs to revitalize his career because he already did that in Seattle pretty much, but we've seen what Chip Kelly does with a lot of these quarterbacks in their first year together in his offensive system. So, I mean, really, there's a chance that Geno reaches, even higher heights that he hasn't really reached yet in Seattle with Chip Kelly. So I think everyone in Vegas is pretty excited to have this in the past and know that Geno's going to be their guy for the foreseeable future.
Geno can spin it. Chip Kelly just needs somebody that can spin it, you know? And I don't want to say, Kevin O'Connell obviously gets a lot of, as we burn some sage here on this Feel Good Friday to get the bad vibes out of this place. Chip Kelly, Kevin O'Connell gets a lot of love on what he can do in an offense. What Chip Kelly could do with an offense, just an offense, not having to worry about anything else. We saw whenever he goes to Ohio State, obviously college ball different than the NFL. He has experience in the NFL. He obviously has experience in college as well. It has massive success fresh out of the Will Howard 3rd and 11 call to Jeremiah Smith. They have more talent than everybody. Okay, look up the plays. Look how wide open everybody is. Chip Kelly was what they like to call in his bag during the playoff run. And I don't want to say it seemed like there was levels to this shit, but it did feel like obviously they had great players, but the way they were setting things up and how they were working and manipulating the defense, it's like Chip Kelly's brain is a very good one when it comes to offensive football. People would judge him as a head coach for the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL. It didn't work out there. It's like, okay, still got a head coaching job in Philadelphia because of how great he was in Oregon. Then he goes to UCLA. I don't think he has a lot of help. Support, I think, from a lot of different, avenues that you need support in the current landscape. Not saying that hasn't changed. We're just saying, feels like that was probably the case with Chip. Then he goes over to Ohio State, wins the national championship. Now he's back with the Raiders. I think he's on a point to prove himself as well. So if he gets a quarterback that can spin it, which Geno definitely can. If he gets a quarterback that understands defenses, what Geno certainly has for how long he's been around the NFL. And you also have Brock Bowers over there still. I mean, there is a chance that what Chip Kelly's able to cook up with this offense with Geno, to your point, we do see maybe the best Geno that we've seen. And that has to be awesome for Geno to think he gets more money than he was going to get in Seattle. He gets a chance to go back with Pete Carroll. And also, he gets an offensive genius to be his offensive. Not that not every offense coordinator is an offensive genius, but Chip Kelly's been around a long time, had a lot of success. He feels revitalized as well. Great play by Geno. This works out very, very well for him, I think.
Yeah, also have Jacoby Myers on the outside at wide receiver, who I believe was one of the only guys who had a 0% drop rate last year. But then just looking at it, too, you talk about Chip Kelly, Geno tied to Pete Carroll for 3 years, and then you just think of what Brady has said about quarterbacks, Chip Kelly, Will Howard. I mean, that's been a connection this entire time. But this deal kind of takes the Raiders off the board seemingly for that, early quarterback with that number 6 overall pick. Now it does kind of seem as though, okay, they'll probably take one in the second or third round, which a lot of guys, Will Howard, Quinn Ewers, a few dudes that might be kind of projected around then. And, Will Howard kind of fits not the exact same. And I'm by no means am I calling Will Howard Tom Brady, but Will Howard has the size of Brady, and he played kind of a similar college football role as Tom Brady. Will Howard played a lot more, started a lot more games, but he was there till his senior year. He played in big games just like Brady at a big school just like Brady, and that would kind of fit the bill. And Tom has been so steadfast in the thought of, hey, the most important thing for these young guys isn't rushing them, for them to sit behind and for them to kind of learn behind someone. And now Vegas kind of does turn into one of those places that becomes a perfect place for a younger guy to come in, not have to start right away, can learn behind Geno, no pressure to be the guy right off the bat. And, you mentioned Brock Bowers. Any quarterback, whether they're young or old, having a Brock Bowers who is, 120 catch a year guy now, right off the bat as a rookie, he's going to be good for so long. So that would be one of those spots now you kind of circle for a perfect situation for a younger guy.
Every decision that is made by the Raiders at this point, I'm viewing as good decision.
Yeah.
Because Tom Brady's involved.
Yeah.
If Tom Brady wasn't involved, we'd be like, the Raiders. Legitimately. What a culture shifter, at least from the outside looking in.
And Pete.
And Pete Carroll as well. Yeah, because Pete is distinguished. Pete, Chip, Tom, people that have all had success are kind of in the building now. So the way we view their decisions is vastly different than what it was just a couple years ago. A couple years ago, they make this move. We go, okay, is that going to help you? Anything
Sweet.
Now it's like what they're doing.
Love
what they're
culture's
doing.
changing.
It is good for the Raiders fans. I know you guys have been sitting through it for a long, long time. So good for you guys. It feels like the rest of the world is catching up in respect level to the rest of the NFL. But also the AFC West is tough. So good luck out there. We're pulling for you. Now let's pivot away from the NFL. Congrats to Trey McBride as well. 4 years, $76 million deal. $43 million guaranteed. Tight end out there. Kyler Murray celebrated as he should. McBride has been a dog since he got there. He gets paid out in Arizona as Gannon and the boys are trying to turn that team into a contender. Seemingly have all the pieces. Will they be able to figure it out? We shall see. Congrats to Trey McBride on getting a monster deal at a tight end position. Now let's pivot away from the NFL. Let's go to the NBA. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now, senior insider for the NBA at ESPN, friend of the program, super handsome Sham Charania.
Yeah,
Sham,
We're back. Not great news. Not great news for Ja Morant.
Okay,
today.
so let's talk about this. We actually kind of see it as good news. We don't know the ins and outs of the entire situation. Feels like Adam Silver in the NBA could have suspended him for this. Instead, they opt for a $75,000 fine, which people will say is nothing to him. $75,000 is still a lot of money. Is is there, and I think what you reported there is like they talked to him before the game about like, hey, this cannot become like the trend again for you. Now, even if Ja thinks it's unfair and he's getting treated differently than everybody else, what he has done leading up to this point, and I know he was young, and I know we're kind of watching him mature in the public eye and everything like that, but he's going to be viewed differently whenever it comes to guns than everybody else in the NBA. Is he ever going to understand that? Is that going to be something that, like, we would like to see Ja continue to play basketball? Where are we at with the NBA talking to Ja about this, and how does it get resolved, do you think, ultimately?
Yeah, I mean, on Thursday, the league came out, I reported it. They warned Ja Morant. They warned also Buddy Hield. They warned the Grizzlies. They warned the Warriors as well. Like knock it off with the gun gestures. But of course, a lot of the messaging was around Ja Morant. He had the one right there that was a lot more blatant, a lot more forward than Buddy Hield's was. And we know the context with Ja Morant. Clearly, the league is watching it. The sentiment around Ja Morant is like he's been doing these gestures really all year, possibly in games that are not seen as much as the ones we saw national TV yesterday. The game against the Warriors, every Warriors game is big. So the league officials, they spoke to Ja Morant. They spoke to Buddy Hield. They spoke to everyone with the Grizzlies, everyone with the Warriors over the last 48 hours and basically said, don't do it again. It's inappropriate and refrain from doing it. And then Ja Morant, hours later, goes out and does it.
First quarter.
Twice, 4 minutes into the game, Ja Morant right there. Again, great three-pointer.
Great.
I think it might be time to find another celebration. The word that I'm getting today is that I think there's an understanding here, and I think there would be some surprise if he does this again moving forward.
Really?
Wow.
There's a lot of other celebrations that can be possible. But guys around the league have been doing this. Like, this is not just a Ja Morant thing.
We agree, but it's not guys around the league.
In the context of it. Exactly. The context around it is different. And the league is clearly watching this now.
Yeah, we would like to let Ja Morant know we are massive fans. Massive fans of Ja Morant.
The league is better when Ja Morant's on the floor thriving.
Bingo.
100%.
And we said this earlier. It's like, hey, Ja, you might view it as unfair because they're going to judge you differently than everybody else. Then, yeah, it's unfair then. Just move forward. We need you just to continue to play. We need you in the NBA. We need you in the sports world. And like we said earlier, take a sword out, bro. And even cut somebody's head off.
Yeah, or Yakuza.
Yeah,
or
do
you
whatever.
could holster it. Maybe that would have been a nice play on it. Maybe holster it. Like, it's done. It's over. Like, I'm not showing it. It's in the holster.
Maybe hit a game. Hold on, chums. If we're in the brainstorming idea, let's definitely do that. Maybe he hits a game winner, and then he says and then he puts it away forever.
That's what I'm saying. That would be tight too, given the context of everything. Like, you guys are going to warn me for bringing it out. I'm putting it in the holster now.
He doesn't have holsters.
Huh?
We all come on now. We can always get holsters. I can report this, Pat. The league did speak to Ja Morant today, and they essentially said, "Listen, you're given a warning. The next step is a fine. There was not a threat of a suspension on the next one, but I think there's clear levels to this, right? There was a warning given, then there's a fine. Now, listen, if it does happen again, maybe it's an increased fine. They didn't get there with him on it, but they told him, "Listen, we told you already. Don't do it." And you did it.
He needs to take a sword out.
This is the consequence.
He needs to just take a sword out next time. Maybe even have a fucking shield.
Yeah.
Do the entire
That'd
thing.
Be so sick.
And then just just keep it moving. John, what we're saying is this is not worth. We get it. You're because of things that have happened in the past. You might be judged differently than everybody else. You might feel offended by it. That's okay. You're allowed to feel that way. Just fucking come on. This doesn't need to be something that takes your basketball away from our world, your money away from your pocket. And then whenever you're done, guess what's going to happen? There's going to be so many gun ranges. Even in the backyard, you can set up probably a shooting range down here in Tennessee somewhere. You could do whatever you want with all these guns. Just don't shoot anybody else, but and make sure a license and have a permit, warrant, not a warrant. I'm sorry, papers and everything. And then when you're done, you can do that. Just now, because of things that happen, you see, back in the day, there was a time where anytime somebody went live around you, where's a gun? And that is why you're being judged differently. You don't deserve it. We're saying
and
that.
Now he has fans, other players, people in the audience. They're provoking this too in a lot of ways. That's another thing I've heard in the last 24 hours. Like, Ja Morant has also seen. Yeah,
exactly.
Buddy did one of these.
You don't have a gun, do you?
Pow, 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 pow.
Where's that at, bud? You got one?
Show me. There you go. Let me see it.
Let's see it, dude. John, you got to beat all these things. John, they're trying to take you down, John. Don't let any of these people beat you, okay? Because we need you out there. And also, the NFL put in an initiative to get rid of the gun stuff. I like that the NBA is doing it as well because it's not something like, and I have guns, so it's not like but it is something I think that the sports world is trying to be like, hey, this is not necessarily how we should roll, especially with all the news coming out with all these killings that are happening in the world that we live in. Now, let's move forward. I hear there's a chance maybe some breaking news. Did that happen or did that not happen? Zito told me Shams might have some breaking news. Was it on Ja or was it on Life?
There's always potential of breaking news. Nothing as of yet has hit my phone, but you know when it does.
Okay.
When it does, we're on standby.
All right, last question here. Connor has one for you.
Yeah, Shams, obviously Final Four this weekend. Cooper Flagg projected #1 overall pick. Are all the NBA teams going to be there? Is Cooper Flagg, Concaniple, Johnny Broom, are all those guys being looked at as lottery picks? And how many scouts would you say are there? And also, how many guys, aside from, the household names, are going to be playing this weekend that will probably get drafted in the first or second round?
BC, if scouts are doing their final, or if their scouts doing their main discovery of Cooper Flagg, their main scouting, it's probably not going to be at Final Four weekend. I think a lot of scouts, a lot of executives, where the meat of all of their scouting happened was the NCAA tournament. But I do think there will be some high-level executives there. Not sure how many scouts will be there, but definitely there's going to be GMs in the building. GMs in San Antonio this weekend. There's a lot going on around San Antonio this weekend. There's a lot of NBA-related things. There's the NBA events. There's the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame enshrinement on Saturday, tomorrow as well in San Antonio. So a lot going on around this weekend in San Antonio beyond just the games. But Cooper Flagg has clearly emerged as #1 potential pick this year in the draft. But the biggest thing that I see from him is you see the it factor. You see the intangible. You see this level of toughness, drive. The guy had a nasty ankle sprain. You saw him being taken out in a wheelchair. He had swelling the size of a tennis ball. And a week later, he's back on the court. Maybe that's him being 18 years old. But maybe he just is that tough.
He's got a good kid, a good family. He's a good kid. He's got a good family. Yeah. I heard that from Joe in Maine, because Cooper Flagg is the main event. When I flew back from London, did customs in Maine, Bangor, Maine, because Indianapolis doesn't have 24-hour customs. So fly back middle of the night, land in Bangor, Maine. Gentleman, I believe his name was Joe, comes on, and I'm just waking up, just like kind of waking up in the middle of the plane. And my first question, obviously, is about the main event. I'm like, am I near where Cooper Flagg's from? The glowing things that this guy had to say about Cooper Flagg, his family, the boy that he is, just immediately on cue. It's like, I'm happy to hear that the entire state is proud of him, but also he's lived up to the hype immediately upon going down to Duke. They're a fun team to watch. Got a great 4 teams. Hey, you just mentioned how everything's going on down in San Antonio around the Final Four. I think what I learned from like All-Star Weekend here in Indianapolis is because you guys are a series-driven sport, there isn't like a Super Bowl event where everybody's at. So like some of these different events are utilized as that, whether it's meetings or like corporate events or things. Is the Final Four one of those for NBA as well, or just basketball as a whole?
Final Four is definitely one of those types of events. Honestly, Pat, Summer League in Las Vegas. That is kind of the like, everyone is there. Everyone's talking shop. I don't know if it's winter meetings. I mean, maybe the G League Showcase that's usually held in December. That's the closest thing to like the NBA's version of winter meetings, where like all the executives will be in one setting for a 2 or 3 day period, about a couple of months before the NBA trade deadline. And essentially, a lot of the early conversations end up happening there. What we see in the summer is a lot of catch up, a lot of like, let's talk after free agency, let's talk after the draft. But there are sometimes still some very outstanding issues that are still there in mid-July. I remember one year I went to Vegas, and the whole conversation was about Kawhi Leonard. And I found out near the end of Summer League that he was probably going to go to the Toronto Raptors. A week later, he ends up being traded from the Spurs to the Toronto Raptors. I think it was 2018. So a lot of business happens at the Las Vegas NBA Summer League.
I've been doing this. What Shams just said. We appreciate the hell out of you. Have a great weekend, brother.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shams Charania.
Yeah, Shams!
Yeah, there's breaking news coming.
It's coming. It's always coming down the pipeline.
yeah, it's always just coming and coming. And
My name's not
Yep.
Sean Charania.
no, it's news is coming and coming and coming. And Sean Charania.
Yep.
How about him dropping, like, I think 2018, I learned blah, 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 blah. That was like 7 years ago, obviously, at this point. Him, it's just like Schrags. Them getting dropped into the roles that they are at ESPN. And a lot of these suits at ESPN, I've never seen anybody that isn't on ESPN, right? Because that's like literally all they watch. So then Shams gets dropped in. I think he's met with some resistance, you know?
Sure.
Because in that world, insider game, especially with Woj and how many, you know, and the way Woj and Shams, you know, the way that whole thing kind of went down, you know, pretty competitive, I think, is the way it would be said. And then Shams just drops in there and just gets to work and continues to do what he's been doing for like the last 10 years or whatever. It's like, I feel like he is such an asset for ESPN at this point and for the next 30 years. That dude's so young.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he looks younger than he actually is. It's like, we're lucky that Shams has been in our orbit, and I'm thankful that he's doing what he's doing for ESPN. It's the same thing with Schrags. It's like, I know Good Morning Football was seen by a lot of execs. I know a lot of suits watched it. I know that was one of the shows that, like, NFL Network obviously on every single building, but a lot of TV people watched it because it was critically acclaimed, I guess, and award-winning and all that stuff. It changed, you know, morning television. Kyle, Nate, Kay, Pete, like that was a hell of a run, award winning. But I don't know how many people like know Schrags at ESPN because he's Fox NFL Network guy. Then he comes in his first couple of days, just absolutely crushes it. They're like, oh, these guys are like professional and charming. Yeah, it is. It's been cool to kind of watch like the reaction, I think. And also, I assume internally, we're not up in Connecticut much, thank God. But good people up there, good people up there. But listening to them potentially be questioning what's going on, obviously thinking they're smarter than everybody in the situation. Oh, I deserve this, I deserve. And then Shams and like Schrags coming in and like, I don't want to say earning it, but like you get it, like proving that it was the right decision. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, especially with the NBA, with Shams, it felt like, you know, obviously he had news since he's gotten there, but then having like the Luka AD trade, it felt like that was kind of like the crowning moment of this NBA season as far as, you know, breaking news goes. Because the Ja stuff and all that, like, sure, that is absolutely breaking
That's easy stuff. You're reading a memo.
Yeah, but the level of being the one that finds out about Luka and AD and then hearing, you know, Shams talk about it. I mean, we showed the tweet. It had over 100 million views on the tweet. Like, it was the biggest thing that's ever happened. And that was also at, you know, 1 a.m.? So it wasn't as if it was middle of the day. Like, Shams is a worker, and it feels like it has showed.
We love them. And speaking of insiders that have to work their asses off, ladies and gentlemen, senior insider at NFL Network for the NFL, friend of the program with his weekly wrap-up with Rap Sheet and Friends, us being the friends, he being Rap Sheet. Ladies and gentlemen, Ian Rapoport.
Yeah, Rap Sheet!
What up, Rap? We were just singing the praises of Shams, you know, going into a new place that maybe a lot of people are questioning why he got his role, and then him just since then kind of crushing it for all of us and being proud of him, just like we are of you, Rap. Proud of you, bud.
Rap. Thanks. I'm proud of Shams, too.
You've been great. Dude. You've been great to us, as has Shams over the years. Let's talk about some NFL stuff that has happened thus far. Let's start with today. It's not a pro day, it's a showcase. I love that. I love that Dahn is like, this ain't a pro day, this is a showcase of our guys, okay? And I think that's a much better name, much better term, and a much better description of what these workouts have become. I believe James Palmer just reported that Travis Hunter will be running routes at this for Shedeur and everything. What should we be expecting out of this? And I know that the entire Cleveland Browns brass is there. The entire Giants brass is there. Is that for Travis? Is that for Shedeur? Is that just to go out to beautiful Colorado? What are your thoughts on today, and what's the big takeaway you think out of this showcase?
Colorado is beautiful. I've never been to Boulder, but I've been to Denver.
We were there. It's beautiful, man. Beautiful place.
It seems like, it would be an awesome place to go to college. So you mentioned a lot of Browns personnel, a lot of Giants personnel, not a ton of Titans personnel. I add them because obviously they have the number one overall pick and are going to be doing all the homework for the truly elite prospects, of which, you know, Shedeur and Travis Hunter are two of them. The Titans are going to have their own workout for these two guys on April 9th, which is sometime next week.
Wednesday, April 9th. Yes, big night. Wednesday, April 9th. Live on YouTube, TikTok, and X.
There's something else that night.
Okay. All right. Just go on, Randy. Please, just go on.
So anyway, Titans brass will be at the private workout. So some of the sort of more high-profile people, including Brian Callahan, will not be at the Colorado workout. So that's sort of the housekeeping part of it. As far as what we will see, we will see Shedeur Sanders throw and go through a throwing workout like we've seen some of the other top quarterbacks. Didn't do it at the combine, wanted to save it for here, in part because not only wanted to throw with some of his guys, and several of them will be NFL caliber receivers, but I think also wanted to bring attention to those guys as well. Like, if you save everything for your, not pro day, but for your showcase, everyone will be there, and we might air it live on NFL Network, which is exactly what's going to happen. So not only will Shedeur get the shine, but his receivers will as well. And then there was a discussion of, like, what will Travis Hunter do? Initially, the word was he's not going to work out, he's not going to do drills, he's not going to run, which is kind of a bummer, only selfishly because he is a truly elite athlete, and it's fun to watch those guys do their thing. And now we find out that he's expected to run routes for Shedeur. So it doesn't sound like DB drills, but we do get to see some of him at receiver. So should be a really fun day in Boulder.
Okay, so it's a big day. Obviously, is there some draft implications potentially? Do teams already know what they want to do and they're just trying to solidify that? Potentially. You never know what's going to happen. And shout out to Shedeur and Travis having all these teams come watch all the other guys that are going to be a part of the showcase as well. And no offense to just saying other guys, but you get it. That's a big deal. Like whenever Pat White, Steve Slayton, and the boys were coming out, the amount of people that came to our pro day at West Virginia versus years past was vastly different.
Oh, that's interesting.
Putting on for everybody, that's a really cool thing. And obviously we'll see how it all shakes up. And that guy right there catching touchdowns in the NFL is going to be awesome to watch.
I mean,
and then the next series, him coming in and locking somebody down is going to be awesome to watch.
Crazy.
Cannot wait for him in the league.
There's not a lot of guys. I mean, I've been looking and trying to talk to people like, who does he remind you of? And it's just really hard. Like,
on defense, he's like Richard Sherman and Revis kind of combined.
But with speed, faster than probably both of those guys.
Yeah, but that's on defense. And then on offense, like what you're saying, he has the speed of like a Randy if he really wants to. Doesn't have it. It's an insane comp. All of it in two different positions, let alone if he was to go return kicks, which I assume he could if he had to. So good for Travis Hunter. And all those team brass being at those, you would normally assume that'd be for a quarterback. It's like, nah, that could very much be there for this particular guy. So congrats to Prime. Congrats to Colorado being the epicenter of the NFL draft prospects today in a showcase. I like the name Showcase a lot better than Pro Day as well. Going forward.
Yeah, I agree.
I like it's a show. Mm-hmm. We're putting on a show because we've seen these choreographed exhibition workouts, and it's like, this is a show here. This is obviously, we're doing it. This is not real football.
It's a program.
This is a program, yeah. Okay, we're going to start out with a little loop-de-loo, okay? And let's get them excited a little bit. Let's do a deep shot over here. Oh, let's roll out over here. Need a drag route. Underhand.
Let's go over Pat.
Now, let's run it for one. Maybe shake somebody. It's like a show. It is a show. So I appreciate that. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, you sort of really captured it because it used to be like, well, obviously you have to work out for NFL teams. Otherwise, how are they going to know whether or not they should draft you? And that was sort of like, you have to do the combine and then you have to do pro day. And that was always the way it was. And then over the last 5 years or so, kind of going along with the movement in the country and college football and really just sort of in general being in charge of your own brand and your own person and everything, it's been more players being like when Lamar didn't run, I remember being stunned. Like, how could he not run? And then it was like, what does he need to run for? You see how fast he is. And it was like, to me, just as someone who does this year after year, it was kind of an awakening. Like, I think Lamar's right. Like, he's running for who? And look, you want to draft Travis Hunter, put the tape on. Like, you will see many reasons to draft him in the top 5. Shedeur's a little different because teams might want to see more specific things as a quarterback, but player empowerment is clearly upon us, and this is another good example of it.
I think the reason why, and to your point about player empowerment and understanding brand and value and risks and pros, there's so many of those things at a younger age now, but I think coaches and scouting people have maybe let too much information out. So whenever coaches just say, I don't need to go to the combine. I'll just watch. And whenever scouts are like, well, the top 30 visits are actually much more important than what's going on at the combine, what's going on at pro day. I think agents, players all hear that and they're like, well, if that's how they're viewing it, like how important should it be for us in this entire thing, So I think it is like I guess it's kind of a state of the world that we're in, state of football that we're in. But I do think there's a benefit for all the other guys, too. Medical, if you weren't invited to the combine, you could do medical, height, weight. Guys are still going to run 40s, which, once again, is a show.
Yeah.
That is watching guys run, which the NFL Network obviously has captured and captivated the masses with the combine workout as a whole. So I think it's just where we're at. I don't know what it ends up becoming, though. I don't think any of us know what ends up happening. Now, let's talk about some of those top 30 visits and everything like that. AP Tone has a question for you, Rap.
Yeah, Ian, speaking of showcases and quarterback showcasing at pro days, I heard, I was listening to Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah this morning. They were saying that Jackson Dart put on a showcase at his. He was running it all himself. He was holding court, asking NFL coaches, what do you guys want to see now? I could do it. I'll show you. And then you just tweeted out that it was interesting that Jackson Dart was a top 30 visit for the Pittsburgh Steelers today. Why is that interesting, Ian? What do you know?
Yeah.
It is interesting to me. First of all, it sounded like his pro day did go exceptionally well. Definitely in the conversation to be the number 3 quarterback taken. And if you say to me right now, what is my guess? Just guess where he goes. I would say first round is very much a possibility for Jackson Dart.
Wow.
Maybe mid to late first round, but I probably would have said the same thing for Bo Nix last year, and he went 12. So quarterbacks are, hard to predict. The Steelers one is interesting because, he is obviously very talented. If he goes middle to back of first round and he goes to a team that may or may not soon have Aaron Rodgers, that's not a long-term answer.
Whoa.
They would love a long-term answer. Jackson Dart has been the guy when people, if you look kind of like the back half of the draft, there's not a ton of teams. There's some, but not a ton of teams that need a quarterback as their franchise guy. The Steelers are one. That would be one that makes some sense to me if that's someone that they view that they could take there.
Hey, Rap, as you were talking there, and you said he's going to back up Aaron Rodgers, I think you put out a tweet saying the word futile. Is that how you pronounce that word? About him potentially, Ben Roethlisberger said. I think you said it on the inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's hold on. Let me set so people that don't necessarily know what the situation might be. Ben Roethlisberger on Footballin' with Ben Roethlisberger, brought to you by John Eagle, who
shout out
is one of the greatest places,
Market District,
literally on earth. Miss it out here in Indianapolis. It's a Pittsburgh place, John Eagle. He said that he thought that Aaron was waiting out for Minnesota. Now, that's just Ben thinking. I don't think Ben has any sources anywhere. I don't think Ben's talking to the Steelers. I don't think the Steelers are giving Ben information. I think that's literally just Ben kind of pontificating on the situation. So when he says that, you then, I believe on the insiders, say that you think Big Ben isn't wrong here, that he's potentially doing that. And then you said, even Rodgers knows now that wait would be futile. That wait would be futile. So what do you mean by that? What are you hearing? And because Minnesota was a pipe dream that we were just kind of conceptualizing, then it was seemingly a potential thing. Then it was, we're moving forward without him, but didn't close the door completely. Now you're basically saying that from what you've heard, Minnesota is out on Aaron Rodgers. Because futile, I had to look it up, basically means worthless.
Yeah.
The wait would be worthless, right?
Yeah. I actually went through a couple different word choices there. I didn't want to come out too strong, and I did the thesaurus.com. And then that was the word I settled on, which is a good one. I think it's a really good one.
Way to go, Rap.
Nice shot, Rap.
Way to go, Rap. Thank you. It
took me a while to craft that tweet. So I don't think the Vikings were a pipe dream for Aaron Rodgers. I think it was at one point real enough to where I know he considered it, and I know the Vikings considered it. Because reality is, if you're any team that needs a quarterback, and you have a 4-time MVP, future Hall of Famer, saying hey, you're someone I'd like to play for, you have to consider it. It is your job to consider it. Whoever your quarterback is, and I think J.J. McCarthy is really talented. More importantly, the Vikings think J.J. McCarthy is very talented, but at least they had to consider it. Based on my conversations with Vikings people in Palm Beach, based on what Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah told colleague Tom Pelissero on air, they're all in on J.J. McCarthy. And I've had to think, like, what would have to happen for them to say, all right, we are now not in, and let's go sign Aaron Rodgers. Let's just say Rodgers waits, which I don't think he would, but let's say he does. It would have to be like through training camp for them to be like, all right, JJ's not what we thought. We need a veteran. Let's go sign Rodgers. Like, he's not going to wait that long. I don't even think that's going to happen because I would bet JJ is going to be really, really good. So what I meant by Rodgers realized that wait is futile is he realized that if he waited, it probably still wouldn't happen. And, you know, him signing with the Steelers, I'm not going to say it's a fait accompli, but it certainly seems like the most likely thing to happen.
Okay.
A what?
You know?
Thesaurus.com makes you feel real smart all of a sudden.
Well, I mean, that was the antonym.com.
Okay.
You know, futile, but anyway, yeah.
Futile, we just had it pulled. Is it futile or futile?
I like the sound of futile.
I believe it's futile.
Of course you do.
Like mobile, hostile,
Yeah.
futile,
Agile.
Yeah. Futile. It takes a while to get used to hearing somebody say futile, especially if you know that the proper pronunciation has got to be futile. Yeah.
Well, I don't understand. What's
FYOODL.
What is
That's futile for sure. That is certainly futile right underneath there.
It makes it sound so much
That's
dumber.
a terrible word.
That's
That is
bullshit.
a dumb word you use, but nonetheless incapable of producing any useful result.
Oxford's wrong again.
It would be
Nice
pointless. It would be futile, is what he's saying if Aaron continues to wait. Okay, let's continue to some more news from the NFL.
Futile.
Yeah, we get it, okay?
Word sucks now.
Fait accompli. All right. Oui, rapchi. Okay, yeah, all right. I'm about done with it. Anyways, let's talk about other shit that came out this week that we find notable that we don't know all the answers to. Go ahead, Connor.
Rap sheet, huge news from the league meetings this week is that there'll be 3 Christmas games this year. I think everybody can agree this Christmas in 2024, it kind of stunk after, the clock hit 7 and there were no more football games. So now there will be a night game. It's on Thursday night football on Prime. Is that only because it's Thursday night that there will be 3 games, or can we expect there to be 3 games on Christmas just going forward, and that will be the new norm? And will that also become like a bidding game where, different networks can kind of try and pay for that night game on Christmas because Netflix has the 1 o'clock and 4:30 game?
Well, first of all, it is Thursday this week, or it is 3 games this week because it's on a Thursday. But I know enough about the NFL, and I've seen this enough to where, like, if it works, and it's going to work. I mean, it worked last year when the whole world watched Netflix on Christmas. Hopefully the pregame show, just because of, I don't know, some people were on the pregame show, did a great job. Wore my new green blazer.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
Bergazzi was on there.
Bergazzi was great.
CM Punk was on there.
J.J. Watt did great.
There was a couple good ones.
Laura was.
Bert Kreischer outside going
Kreischer,
dummy
of
with the
course, yeah,
line.
no shirt.
Okay.
Mina.
Other people.
Mina was on there.
It was fun.
RG3 was on there. Did a great job. Manta. Anyway,
Oh, yeah, I remember.
was on there. Anyway, it's
That
going
was
to
a
work.
good
And-
cast.
It
Wasn't
was,
it a good cast?
Yeah, for the most
It
part.
was a good Christmas experience, but to Connor's point, games ended. That's when everybody's getting like their second wind. They've just taken like the nap,
Yeah.
and now there's like a Christmas night. So I apologize, we cut you off there.
No, I mean, I feel the same as you guys that, like, if 3 games works, which it probably will because it always does. because
Super
the more
wild card
football you
weekend,
put
brother.
on-
You know,
I mean, yeah. Just like keep putting it on, and I'm going to keep watching. And like the way holidays are now, I'm so like I think we're all kind of messed up. Where it's like, all right, holiday, get the presents, do the meal. Like, what game is on, right? Like that's just we're sort of been conditioned to do that, and I'm here for all of it. So my guess is that it's probably something we're going to see in the future. But doing it on Thursday, having a Thursday night Amazon game anyway. Probably a good way to kind of open the door for just more football at a time where we're all going to want to watch it.
I'll be intrigued because I don't know how the Roman calendar works. So I don't know what day Christmas will be on next year. But will that continue to be a Bezos night game? Like if they have Christmas night the first time because it's Thursday night game,
Right.
Will they, if it's next time on Friday, Saturday, will Amazon still try to get that? It's on Friday.
I mean, that's a big showcase. I mean, that's a massive showcase. So
Christmas
I assume
night.
Amazon would.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty good one.
Netflix is going to want that, though. Like, if that's going to continue to be a thing, Netflix will definitely want that, right? Because it'll be main
Probably.
event. You can assume if any other streaming platforms are trying to get in the game. Peacock might try to get in there. Who knows if NBC will have enough money? No offense to NBC. We're just talking about the reality of the situation with Peacock versus Amazon and Netflix at this stage of the game. But it's like that's a massive moneymaker for the NFL. Massive. And they have a lot of those opportunities going forward for like special games here. Special Black Friday became a game all of a sudden. You can put 2 on that particular day. You can really start running. You can start running up the scoreboard with the money, and that obviously helps out the salary cap. That obviously helps out the future. I mean, it's like the NFL is still sitting on a gold mine with a lot of growth still in front of them. At some point, it's going to slow down, but right now, it's definitely not, as these platforms are trying to only get more advanced.
Ian, I saw a report, kind of like the Lions and Cowboys have Thanksgiving. Is it true the Chiefs want Christmas Day every year? I saw a report about that. Is that true? Have you heard that?
Yeah, I mean, I have also heard that, and I would too if I were them. It's, I don't want to say everyone's jealous of the Lions and Cowboys, but it sort of feels like they are, because like that's a huge platform. And when the Lions were bad, it was kind of weird because it's like we all had to watch them on Thanksgiving, even though like still an event. Now they're not bad. Now they're actually good. And the whole country gets to watch like some of the best players.
Hell yeah!
I mean, that's
the whole country went through a lot with this Lions team.
Yes, they did. Thanksgiving tradition was to watch the Lions lose every year.
We got to watch Barry Sanders for years. And for those of us who didn't get to watch on a regular basis, even though the teams were bad, that was a cool.
Calvin Johnson, Matthew Stafford had a run.
Yeah. John Kitna.
Cooper? No, who was your guys' backup? Yeah, was that who was the backup quarterback for Matthew Stafford that played that one year? Do you remember this?
David Blow.
Wow. David Blow. We spent Thanksgiving with
Purdue, great.
That was a good time. Yeah, you're right.
I thought you were talking about another Stafford backup who may or may not have been on your show yesterday.
Nah, that guy sucks.
Orlovsky?
No, Orlovsky. Did he play on Thanksgiving? He had to have, I guess.
I hope not.
I assume he did at some point.
For everyone's sake.
Yeah, I remember throwing up.
All right. Yeah. That's because you ate too much, you fatso.
Yeah.
It's not because Dan Orlovsky playing football. Jeez Louise. It's been a big week for the Orlovskys.
I hadn't eaten yet. It was a concussion after a turkey bowl.
Of course. Hey, you were a dog in those turkey bowls, too, from what I heard. Okay, other things happening this week. Ty has a question for you.
Rap Sheet, it's been reported that James Cook put his house up for sale in Buffalo, and then earlier this year we heard that Brandon Beane said, like, hey, we kind of talked about an extension, but nothing ever really happened, so we kind of just tabled it. Is there anything going on here? We know that he wants to be paid with the top guys in the league, but it's not quite there yet. I think it was like a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, he took all of like the Bill stuff out of his social media. What's going on with this whole situation?
It's not great. I would not describe it as great right now. I mean, he's going to, he'll play for the Bills next year. The house for sale is sort of something that always catches my eye because, like, first of all, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but players know it gets reported. So when you do that, it's like if you're going to do that, that's like a pretty big statement. That's as big as like taking your team out of your social media where it's like, you don't need to do it. Does it really affect things? I don't know, but everyone notices. Like it is, like I know enough now. I followed this world enough, this new world enough, where like when a player takes a team out of social media or like unfollows, like stuff's about to go down. Like something is not right. I know the negotiations didn't go great. I do know he's a player the Bills would like to have in their future because he's young and he's awesome on the field. I'm not sure him coming out and saying that he wanted to make $15 million was really like the most welcome thing in the organization. I think they can get back together and maybe get on the same page and somehow do a deal. Theoretically, it's not going to be anytime soon. And I think there'll have to be a sort of conversation to get everyone back on the same page and maybe reel back some of what's been public. But as of right now, like this is not in the greatest place of all time. No.
Yeah, I mean, he might hate his neighbor too. We don't know what the neighbor.
Yeah,
is. You might want to just sell a house.
Also
move.
could be like
that'll happen.
May just want to move closer to like, Bar Bill or one of the other good wing plays. There could be other reasons, yes, but.
Yeah, I mean, I have certainly wanted to move immediately upon entering a house or somebody entering a house in my neighborhood and saying, I would like to get out of here. I don't like the way this is going right here, so
no doubt.
Get me out of town. So maybe that's the case. And maybe they come back to good graces because remember, whenever they let James Cook, see what we did? There, a lot of magic started happening, so hopefully they're able to continue that. Will James be able to get paid in Buffalo or will he go somewhere else? It may be Saquon Barkley. Okay, as we're coming up on a hard out here, at the end of hour one here on this Feel Good Friday. Weekly wrap-up with Rap Sheet and Friends. The big wrap-up of this week would be league meetings. Big conversation coming out of that is they've tabled the tush-push convo until a later date. Now, there has been a lot of chatter around this. Whenever they table something and move it to a later date, does that mean that they're trying to make people forget about it? We'll talk about this later. Or does that mean that there's going to be actual movement from now until the actual later date and we should potentially see something?
It feels like it will be the second thing. Feels like there will be movement. And a lot of times what tabling is get away from the meetings and you start to sort of collect your people. You start to recruit and kind of get people on the same page or step away from the meetings. And
Lobbying.
Lobby, yes.
Got it.
Lobby. You start to say, all right, what if we went back to this language? And also, I think the Eagles sounded like they made a very impassioned plea to keep it. Those conversations with other people, not the Eagles, are probably easier when the Eagles aren't around, right? So you can do all these things kind of in a separate room, and just kind of get everyone to a point where I think the language potentially could change. And if you say to me, what's the likely scenario, I would say maybe go back to the 2004 language where, you couldn't push or pull anyone.
2004.
That way it might be the most fairest possible, but still a little ways to go.
And then there's also a possibility where it can only be one person pushing too, right? You think that there is going to be some sort of change made, is what you're saying?
It feels like it, just because usually, if something's going to get voted down, we saw things get voted down, but if something's going to be voted down, they usually do it. If they think it has a chance to pass, they usually table it and sort of collect themselves. That's where it feels like this is going.
Okay, Philly fans, we're all on your side too. And Philadelphia Eagles people, whenever they say, oh, we can do it better than everybody else, is that not a talent? You're saying this is not a thing. You want to take it away from us, of course. They're the Super Bowl champs, so it's hard to just do a complete woe is me type situation for you guys because you're on top of the league right now and your roster seemingly is only going to continue to go that way. But if I was an Eagles fan, I'd be shouting that, oh, we're too tough. That's why everybody's trying to stop us. Certainly use that as a chip on the shoulder going forward, which Philadelphia people definitely will. Hey, you remember in 2025 when the Eagles were tougher than everybody else in the league? Like that, you'll be able to say that forever, no matter what takes place. Last thing here, we got 2 minutes, and you said if it gets tabled, that means there's certainly going to be a conversation follow-up as opposed to just trying to kind of wish it away. Roger Goodell talked about the Lions' proposal about seeding for the playoffs, and I think there was a couple different conversations around that, like if maybe the team from the division has a losing record, maybe then they get docked as opposed to everybody that has this situation. We think it's going to be very difficult to get owners to agree to not letting the division champs have a home playoff game because every year that is kind of the conversation. What do you think it's going to end up being? And do you think there's real consideration to changing the way the playoffs are, even with how successful the playoffs currently are?
Yeah, I have to say, I was really surprised. I assumed this would get voted down like it always has been and kind of just move forward. And then you started to hear pretty good debate. Maybe it gets tabled. And I was just surprised. I was sort of like you, where it's no division winner, whatever, not want to have a home game. That's what you play for. But it does seem like there's a little momentum toward if a division winner has a losing record, maybe they don't host a playoff game. Which, even if you're the division winner, you could sort of understand, right?
Yeah, because you're just pumped to be in the playoffs, I think, at that point. So even your fans
and you know that
you
didn't. Right, it's not like, do you deserve a home game winning a division with a losing record? And it doesn't happen that often. So I would say, that to me, that feels like that's a possibility in Mayo as well.
That's awesome. We appreciate you. Have an incredible weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, from the NFL Network, Ian Rapoport.
Thank you.
Okay. So maybe they do change it. If you have a losing record and you win your division, and we have division has 3 teams that are in there, you're not getting seeded above them.
Yeah.
Okay? The Vikings deserve a home playoff game, is basically what they said last year. Hour 2 will be on the other side. We have a great one for you. Probably not, actually. See you then.
Hello and welcome to Office Championship Wrestling live in Indianapolis, Indiana. Tonight we have a straight to hell match in which the devil will battle against our office wrestler, Dylan Boston. You might be wondering how we got here. Let's find out right now.
And now we have to make a deal with the devil.
Yeah, no big deal. Classic trial by combat situation. We got our champion, Dylan Bostic. All he's got to do, win the match, 1, 2, 3, and we're home safe.
the only man that would take the job to protect us from the devil himself, Dylan Boston.
Like you mentioned, Pat, there's probably about 5 or 6 other guys we'd rather have in this position, but we'll take Bostic, I guess.
Not only are all of our souls on the line, the Office Championship Wrestling Championship presented by Natural Light is also on the line.
Jesus, the devil's trying to put Bostic straight to hell!
I do not want to go
Good
to
God,
hell!
no!
Don't do
Good
it!
God, no! Come on, Bostic, Pat!
Oh, no! Oh, my...
I'll see you in hell, Pat. The goddamn Easter Bunny's out here! What the hell's he doing here?
The Easter Bunny is obviously here to help Dylan Bostic. Wait a minute. No!
No, no!
The Easter Bunny's been on the devil's side this whole time. Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ! Jesus
What the hell's
Christ!
Jesus Christ doing here?
The power of Christ is compelling Dylan Bostic.
Look at this, Pat! Jesus Christ is bringing Bostic back to life! Jesus is going insane! And now Bostic's kicking wholesale ass in the ring!
Jesus Christ has come to help Dylan Bostic defeat the devil and defeat the Easter Bunny. What's going to happen here?
Good God Almighty, it looks like he's going up in the scissor lift!
Jesus is lifting the scissor lift. Jesus is now telling Bostic to come down.
Don't do it, Bostic! Don't do it! Oh my God!
Oh,
Bostic's dead! He's dead! You can't tell from home, but that scissor lift is about 8 stories up, Pat!
80 feet in the air. Oh, wait. He's tuning up the bed. The devil.
Super kick! Into the casket! The devil goes down! The devil goes down!
He shuts the casket.
And
Back to
that's
hell. The devil goes straight back to hell where he belongs.
it! With the assist from Jesus Christ of Nazareth!
Dylan Bostic saves the PMI office's souls and wins the OCW championship. Right.
The following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Hey,
Why?
let's go.
This show stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for.
McAfee on the line with a gorgeous assist!
The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers.
You pink.
Damn it!
Your friend tell a friend something nice could change their life. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to our humble abode, the Thunderdome. On this Feel Good Friday, April 4th, 2025, hour 2 of the program starts now.
Sports.
Are happening all around us, and we're incredibly lucky that we get a chance to chat about it every single day, especially on this Feel Good Friday. Final Four weekend tomorrow. We can't wait to celebrate college basketball in its highest form with 4 teams left, 2 from the SEC, Houston and Duke on the other side. Who will end up continuing their chase of their one shining moment? This March Madness that has been littered with favorites dominating. 4-1s for the first time, long time, represented down in San Antonio. We will certainly watch and follow along as a school changes its trajectory. Will Duke be able to win with a new head coach in Scheyer? How about Kelvin Sampson and the boys down in Houston? Are they going to be cutting down nets again? How about Auburn, Bruce Pearl? Welcome back to the Star. Welcome back to the spotlight. Welcome back to Bruce Pearl, who's an absolute dog. and was able to get the War Eagle boys rolling. And then Seth Greenberg's Florida team. He has been talking about them since before this tournament started. He was in love with the SEC as a whole, which ended up being a pretty accurate depiction of how the tournament would unfold. 7 SEC teams would be in the Sweet 16. But this Florida team and this Clayton Jr. fella who makes every big-time shot, and this Florida team that is wide open, taking on Auburn's a wonderful way to start the Final Four. Congrats to college basketball.
Yeah.
We're going to be celebrating you all weekend. The Talks Tables here at Boston Connor and at Ty Schmidt. One half of the Hammer, Dahn. Ball cap boys. AP Tone's here. Tone, Pirates take on the Yankees and Pittsburgh Pirates home opener. We assume that the North Shore diner is pretty lit right now. We assume it's pretty excited. We assume that the pitcher that's pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates today is a guy that's really, really good. And we assume that the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Buccos, are going to be raising the Jolly Roger after this game, after his Zambelli fireworks kind of captivate the night sky in the lovely city of Pittsburgh after they beat the New York Yankees' ass today.
Yeah. Pittsburgh is one of those cities that normally loves opening day. It kind of sucks that it's more than a week into the season and their home opener is there because their record is already, not great. So I hope that doesn't stop the people from coming out today. It's not bad. Little day down in Pittsburgh. 58, I believe, is the
perfect.
High. And also when you have the Yankees in town, the Yankees are a huge draw. So I would expect a big crowd for Mitch
Yankees
Keller.
can't fill up PNC Park on opening day. Okay, we need Pirates fans in there, not Yankees fans. Do Yankees fans travel?
Yeah, I mean, there's Yankees fans everywhere. You I've seen the picture of you wearing the Yankees hat. So it's kind of one of those things
what
where
what happened?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I believe you were at some sort of event with Pierre Garçon maybe, and you had a Yankees ball cap on. So
What?
yeah, I mean,
that didn't happen.
I liked whenever the old guy, I don't know what his name is.
Yeah, the boss.
George.
He spent more money than everybody. I was like, I like the guy that there is no restrictions on the amount of money that he would spend to win. And he would say, it's not my fault. He would actually say, it ain't my fault. And then he would just give everybody the most amount of money. And I'm like, hey, I don't play baseball. I'm not a big baseball guy. But if I'm pulling for a team, I wish the Pirates would do what the Yankees are doing right now. So, yeah, maybe I bought a ball cap to support that guy.
Sure.
Okay.
I get it.
Maybe I had eyes on the pinstripes, a couple different times, more so than other teams. But don't get it twisted. Paul Skeens Pirates?
Yeah.
I'm a bucko, buddy.
Yeah, no, I get it.
That's what's funny.
What?
Paul Skeens Pirates, in typical Pirates fashion, I know there's a rotation and all that bullshit. How's he pitched yesterday and then the home openers today? He can't just pitch the home opener.
Oh, this guy doesn't know baseball. Please explain baseball.
I just said I
Please
get the
explain
rotation.
baseball to this guy.
I get the rotation
I mean,
thing.
it's early in the season. You really don't want to be, mixing stuff up like that. It kind of that's the way it falls sometimes. And there's part of that
So
might
dumb.
be, hey, we don't want to
Agreed.
don't want to
Don't.
drop Paul Skeens out there and have him give up 8 earned runs on the home opener.
What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, there's a chance. Hey,
Paul Skeens is who we're talking about here. Let's make sure we have a
Exactly.
little bit of a. might be a Yankee at some point if everything goes.
I know, but let's let him pitch down in Tampa where it's warm against the Rays. Let him really pump that splinker and that fastball. Let him kind of just deal with their Mickey Mouse lineup in the Yankees spring training park. We don't need him. We don't need him facing the Bronx Bombers on the home opener. Because I'm not saying it would happen, but there's all this excitement for the Pirates this year. And if Paul Skeens gives up, by some, stretch of the imagination, he gives up 3 homers in the first inning or something like
You
that.
think somebody's getting 3 hits on Paul Skeens in an inning, let alone home runs? You need to relax out there. Nonetheless, hottest team in baseball right now, the New York Yankees, right? The Bats. I guess the Dodgers would be considered the hottest team.
Yeah, for sure.
But what you guys have done hitting-wise is...
in terms of just and this is kind of the Yankees. They're kind of boom or bust. Like they hit home runs. It's kind of like their only form of scoring runs. They don't
PNC is a good park to hit some dongs on.
They don't really play. They don't really play small ball at all. But the thing with that is when they're playing a guy like Skeens, or because they're kind of so boom or bust. Like if they're not hitting home runs, they had 16. They struck out 16 times the other night. So it is kind of like feast or famine.
Mitch will knock them down.
That's an exciting brand of baseball.
It is. That's why they're so fun to watch. And people want to bitch and complain about the short porch and stuff. It is what it is. You kind of play to your advantage. And when you got Aaron Judge, he's not exactly hitting too many short porch bombs. I mean, this guy's hitting 420 plus foot homers every single time.
Babe Ruth.
They might not be able to catch their breath though. Zito just pulled up a photo of what PNC Park looks like today.
Yeah, it looks great. That's unbelievable.
Oh my God.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
It sucks that the Pirates
Bro,
blow.
think about Zambelli's popping out on that river right there,
So
and that thing
cool.
just going up, and you're looking out in the lighting and obviously the groundskeeper.
I was going to say, people don't give enough credit to the grounds crew. Like, that is just, God, I mean, that makes me.
The Clemente Bridge is glowing.
It just looks, the field looks
Yeah, you're right.
unbelievable.
I think we do one of these.
Yeah.
To the grounds crew.
Truly.
Really good work there.
It's great work.
That's all. Do people watch the Barry Bonds era in San Fran, like out on the river?
I think yes, boats will pull up for sure. People get hit, like people have put it into the river.
That's
That was a real thing. Like whenever Paul Skeens was talking the other day about how Pittsburgh responded to a wild card game, let alone how they would respond to a World Series, that entire river would just be boats. It would be a regatta happening out there.
It's tough though because there's so many good seats available in the park. You just pay $10 and you go get a good seat. Inside.
Sometimes you go to our friends at SeatGeek, you can get those for like $3-4.
Yeah.
You really time it out right. Back in the day, not Paul Skeens' day, obviously not this modern Pirates, but yeah, I think Corey Graves lives in a building across. He can see.
Into the stadium?
Yeah, because he's a big Pirates fan. I think he lives in an apartment building across the river and actually can see into the stadium and watch it. What are you gonna say?
I'm interested to see how many tickets are available today and how expensive.
That is a good question.
Okay, our friends at SeatGeek will obviously give you the best ticket price.
Yeah, they won't be too expensive at SeatGeek.
You use PMS 2025, you'll get $30 off your order. Doesn't matter if you're a returning customer or a new customer.
Lowest ticket available starting at $24 today.
Okay.
Boom.
Okay.
Boom.
We're doing baseball. We're doing baseball. We're doing baseball. It's a sport we love.
Hey.
Lower levels like anywhere between 70, 80, $100, and then upper level you get lower.
PMS 2025, you can get $30 off some of those tickets. 2024 are the $24 ones. You can't.
Sure.
That's not how that works. Get out to a ball game. Get out to a live event. Shout out to our friends at SeatGeek. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, is a baseball legend. He's a college football national champion, a Super Bowl champion, and Ryder Cup winner. But on the general Bobby Carpenter show, this guy breaks down baseball better than anybody else. Ladies and gentlemen, AJ Hall. How you doing, H?
I'm doing great. Unfortunately, my Reds are we're on a 3-game slide right now, but we got plenty of ball left ahead of us, so we're gonna be okay.
Yeah, it's opening day in some places, So
is that 1-0 each game they lost?
Yeah, they're the first team since 1960 to lose 3 consecutive games 1-0.
Oh, so you guys suck to watch too?
Yeah, nightmare.
As of late,
we're rounding into form. We're starting. We know
hit
it's
a
a long
beach
year.
ball right now.
It's all right. You guys will figure it out over in Cincinnati. That's what Cincinnati does.
Yeah.
They figure it out.
They figure it out, especially with Trey Hendrickson, hopefully.
Wow.
Doubt
that.
Yeah, just kind of get that entire thing done. Hey, we just had Rap Sheet on, AJ, and obviously this week was the league meetings, and there was a couple things that came out, big conversation. Tush Push, he said that he thinks something's going to change there. Philadelphia Eagles fans are going to be able to talk shit about that for the rest of their lives. Congratulations on having that, and sorry you're losing out on a play seemingly that you were able to do anytime at will, ad nauseum. But the other thing that was coming out of it was this playoff seating change. Did you hear what Rap Sheet just said? He said he thinks there is going to be a little bit of a change to that. I'll be interested to see what owners vote against that and what owners vote for that. Because that feels like bad owners right now do not want that at all.
No.
Good team owners would be like, yeah, absolutely. So I don't know, like the lobbying process of these rules that Rap Sheet talked about, the changing of the playoff seedings would be very, very interesting because I think networks are probably for it.
Yeah.
Networks are probably for the better teams having home field advantage and having better opportunity. I would assume that that's a lot of money that's around it. Roger Goodell, I think he could probably be swayed into a way being like, yeah, we should have our best team set up in the best possible ways. And then, the only people that you would think would be against it would be the teams that have bad teams.
Yeah.
And they would want an opportunity every year. If we win our division, we should have something. How do you feel about it, AJ? And did you expect him to say that it feels like there's some maybe actual change? Because I think that surprised all of us.
Yeah, that definitely surprised me. I like his idea of saying, if you win your division but you have a losing record, that you probably should not host a home playoff game. I could see that happening, but I mean, is it going to give us better matchups? All that matters is that we have the best matchups for people to watch because that's what drives all these big time money deals. Is it going to give us better matchups? What will it do?
I think in some situations it would, just because even just looking at the NFC this year, if this rule was in place, would the Eagles have had to play all of their guys week 18? Because if they were to have lost that game, then all of a sudden, the Vikings move to the 2 seed. If we were just going off of record,
and would they count as the 4th seed then? Because they would take the 4th division winner spot. Like, is that because then you have to figure that one out? Like, okay, so the lowest division winner would have a home playoff game, but if they're under 500, does the number 2 seed actually from a division, does that take over the 4th overall seed, or does it actually get seeded how the record should be in that entire?
Because then all of a sudden, the Commanders, they also move up?
Yeah.
Because they had a better record than.
But nobody was under 500, right, in the NFC?
No, the Bucks were the lowest at 9-8, I think.
Yeah.
Unless they went 10-7. I forget what their exact record was, but.
You mentioned something during the break there about that Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there are some situations where I think they should either just do it or don't. Don't do the stipulation, like if there's a losing record, then they lose their home playoff game, because I think that stinks. I think the stipulations of a rule usually sometimes can ruin it. And, yeah, the environment of the entire thing, the Beastquake, Marshawn Lynch, Seattle
I think
Seahawks,
they had a losing record, right?
They were 7-9. Yeah. The Saints were really good that year. Saints come to town, and then all of a sudden, Hasselbeck and Marshawn Lynch, they end up pulling off a massive upset at home. I mean, that is a moment that still gets talked about. It feels like every single year when it's, the wild card round, those throwback accounts, or the NFL will put out, like, remember the Beastquake from whatever year it was. Like, I think those environments can turn into some of the best moments of the playoffs, and then other times it sucks. I mean, Brady's last year with the Bucks, they were 8-9, and they ended up being the 4 seed, and then they lost to the Cowboys, and Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz was still on the team. I remember him scoring a touchdown. That was a random poll, but sometimes it does.
It's a beautiful mind.
But that was the Monday Night Football game. That was the only game on the wild card weekend was Bucks Cowboys, and the Cowboys killed the Bucks because the Bucks, they weren't that good. Obviously, they went 8-9.
That'd be a huge change for the NFL, especially with the amount of money they're making now for everything and the ratings for everything that they're doing. Other note that Rapoport had there before we pivot over to basketball again, he talked about the 3 Christmas games. Let's assume that's going to happen forever, even though it's happening because it's Thursday night and Thursday Night Football, Amazon Prime have it. That's Christmas is on a Thursday. Let's assume next year, whenever that's on a Friday, that somebody is going to be bidding for that night game, whether it's Amazon or it's Netflix or maybe Apple gets in. Maybe they view this as or YouTube. There is so many different ways that this could go. The NFL is sitting on so many opportunities, AJ, to make hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars still. That Black Friday only had 1 game. It's like they can put 2 there, put 3 there. If you really want to.
They're going to find a way. They're going to invent new primetime situations. They're going to figure out every single possible window that you can maximize. The NFL is going to find a way to do that.
We would assume that's the case going forward. Even we are at the direct center of the season on this particular day. So we'll call it midway, prime time, NFL special.
I can't wait for Halloween night prime time.
Feel
all the players got to wear spooky costumes while they play.
So I think the Steelers will be a good team for Halloween.
Agreed.
Just like I think the Chiefs, Rapoport said he heard the same thing that we were reading on the internet. The Chiefs would like Christmas Day, and it's like color red, like that is a pretty good
Christmas colors every year.
Yeah. Packers want it too every single.
I would assume so.
Okay.
Andy Reid.
Packers wouldn't be a bad team there because Lambeau would always fill up, and it would be snowy.
Yeah,
everything you'd want. All right, let's get to basketball, ladies and gentlemen. A national champion. You're saying he's.
I said Andy Reid because he,
jolly
Santa Claus, which he did afterwards.
Yeah,
remember, had to wait for Travis and Patrick to come in those massive jackets. And then he was like, "Are they out here yet?" Yeah. Jesus, I've been wearing this. And then he comes flying out as Santa Claus. How about them Chiefs? As Santa Claus was a magical moment.
Yeah, a lot of kids were like, okay, so that's what Santa does after he drops off the presents. He goes and watches the Chiefs.
I think there were some places that were like, wait, it's our morning right now.
That was quick.
What is he doing?
I mean, we all saw a red one. We know.
Yeah, watch Dwayne Johnson's movie. You'll figure it out.
Agreed. Largest Christmas launch. What was the
on a Tuesday?
No, that's not what it was.
No, there was some movie.
I think it was largest launch ever for a Christmas movie.
Was it on Amazon? What was it on? I think
it was on Prime.
Theaters first.
It was on Prime. I think it was the Prime.
Yeah,
but I think it had some Prime record. I believe Amazon record.
Most hours watched.
You need to watch Red One.
Krampus, that son of a bitch.
I think too many people were just saying, "Dwayne, we don't need another Christmas movie." And they refuse to watch the movie. You get through it, you're like, Okay, this is Dwayne Johnson's take on a Christmas movie. It is
Hoping for a red, too.
Yeah, it can live. That one will live on.
I agree.
believe. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, is a man whose name will live on forever. National champion, one of the greatest college hoopers of all time. Obviously, now he's on ESPN spreading that good shit, making half-court shots basically every single weekend throughout the entire college basketball season. Ladies and gentlemen, Jay Williams.
Jay Williams.
What's up, boys? Hey, why do you guys keep kicking our ass? I mean, it's like the day before Christmas, Christmas Day, NFL. It's just like this major takeover. I don't know what to do anymore.
Now, you guys can get Christmas Eve. I think that was isn't that what we figured out this year? This year we figured out you guys should take Christmas Eve. Now, I understand NBA was Christmas. We all spent Christmas with the NBA for a long time. Thank you for everything you guys did for Christmas. But then, the Grinch, Roger Goodell came in and said, this is ours now. So I think it's we'll actually ask Adam Silver about it. I think Adam Silver is going to be joining us here next week or the week afterwards. Like, you got to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge right now. The NFL's a wagon. Mm-hmm. You got to figure it out. Christmas Eve might be the way to go because I think we were bored on Christmas Eve.
Oh, yeah.
That could be the time. Nonetheless.
Great. We'll take the boring day, and I'll take off Christmas Day and watch football. That sounds fine with me. I'll take that.
Exactly. And it's no longer boring because you guys are absolutely crushing it for us. Now, let's talk about this weekend. College hoops, obviously in the spotlight. We talked to Seth Greenberg a little bit. We didn't follow the season as well. But obviously the SEC, SPN conversation got loud because everybody's talking about, ESPN wants the SEC in there because the relationship with the SEC is the greatest conference in the history of basketball. They had 7 of the top 16. Now, obviously 2 of the Final 4 are competing against each other from the SEC in Florida and Auburn. Seth Greenberg loves this Florida team, has for a long, long time. Obviously loves Clayton Jr., loves the way they play ball. What are your thoughts on the opener tomorrow, and what is kind of a storyline that we should look at other than it's an SEC battle and SEC team is going to be in the national championship?
Well, I always start off with the fact that the SEC made $70 million in units because each team got $2 million per game that they play. So that conference is crushing it, not only in football, but now also in basketball. So kudos to them for that. But I think as it relates to the matchup, look, Auburn is one of those teams that it feels like they have a bunch of young guys that a lot of people don't know who they are. Janai Broome up for National Player of the Year. But like Chad Baker-Mazara plays like Draymond Green. Like, I think he's critical to their team. Going against probably the most prolific scorer we have in the game of college basketball. I call him a young baby Steph Curry with Walter Clayton Jr. Like, he's the one guy that can put this team on his back and carry the load. So I think you're going to get a game literally that we've seen twice actually in the SEC. It might be the more fast-paced game of the Final Four with high-scoring traits at stake.
I can't wait for 6:09 as these two SEC schools. And this morning, I believe Seth was on First Take talking about, do you trust Cooper Flagg or Clayton Jr. more? Ooh. Yeah, so now we got to pin one against the other, even though they're not playing against each other.
I know, because that's what we do. That's what we do.
Exactly. AJ has a question for you, Jay.
Yeah, Jay, obviously Houston takes on, your own squad in Duke, and Duke has been absolutely rolling. People, pick them to be the favorite to win it all. What's that game going to look like? We continue to hear about this Houston defense and how physical they are and how they're going to try to take it to Duke. Like, what do you think this game looks like, and how does it turn out?
So, AJ, one of my boys who plays football told me this, and I think it kind of sits right with how I look at Houston and how I would talk to Duke if I were in that locker room with John Scheyer before the game. If your arms aren't broken or your fingers aren't broken, it's not a foul. Like, that's how Houston plays. Like, if you watch them train, they're like a bunch of Navy SEALs. Like, they go on runs in the morning. Kelvin Sampson has these dudes in the best condition of their life. There's nobody on this team that's a projected first-round pick, right? So there's a whole bunch of people that have transferred multiple times that feel like they have a huge chip on their shoulder. So it's going to be one of those games with how is it officiated as well, right? Like, are the refs going to call it tight, or are they going to let them play? If they let them play, I think that favors Houston. If they call it somewhat tight, then that takes away the physicality of how Houston likes to play. And that could ruffle the feathers of some of the younger players on Duke, the Cooper Flaggs, the Con Knipples, the Malawatches. if they call it tight, that can go against Duke. So how this game is going to be officiated in the first 4 minutes is going to tell you about how this game is going to translate, I feel like.
On that note about this Houston team, obviously everybody chats about them being tough and everything. There was a clip put on the internet, I believe yesterday, of their defenses. And I think like a lot of the conversation around it was like, can you teach toughness and grit and everything like that? I think he actually does. He does like dive on the ball drills in practice. And I respect the fact that he's got the boys doing that. I respect that the boys do that. And I assume whenever they get into a game, it just becomes second instinct. Has Kelvin Sampson always been like this? Is that always been his style? And how many guys, does it take a special person to be on that team? I don't know if that's like the basketball world normally.
I mean, PM, everybody wants to score, right? They do this drill where they put a piece of wood on top of the rim. And the only way you get points is off of rebounds. And they play the game to 21. So, like, it takes a different type of cat to go to Houston if you're doing drills like that for 35, 40 minutes a day, right?
Yes, I think so. But everybody knows what they're signing up for whenever they go there for him?
He gets you, he's the oldest coach in the Final Four. He's one of those guys he gets you to buy into something different than what you expect. If you think you're going to Houston to drop 30 points a game, you can get lost. Like, you're all playing on the same level. Your condition is going to be at the highest level it can be. And, like, he got a little bit of that shit to him, man. Like, Kelvin carries that shit to him all the time. And the players, it trickles down because they all feel like they come from nothing, and that's what they expect to play like.
Dude's got hard edge down there.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw this drill, I just thought to myself, like, I didn't know basketball had this in them. Mm-hmm. I did not. I think who told us they put pads on?
Michigan State.
Michigan State. Tom Izzo said back in the day he had the boys put pads on and they just did a football basically practice. He said if I did that now, I'd get sued, obviously. And I see these Kelvin Sampson videos coming out and people are talking positive about it. I thought after watching, because I was just captivated by the video and I saw guys diving on each other and running into the wall. I'm like, oh, they got to be killing him in 2025. Instead, the basketball community is like, this is how you teach toughness. This is how you teach grit. It was like, I respected the fact that A, he still does it, and B, his team buys in. C, the people seemingly are like, yeah, that's Kelvin Sampson basketball. Good luck to Duke dealing with that. Cooper Flagg needs to know these boys are putting their heads into the wall in practice.
Yeah, man.
I hope you know. What are your thoughts on him? What a special talent, huh?
You know what? It's just like we were talking about it earlier today. He's going to be the number one pick. He does so many things well, but he doesn't jump off the page like a Zion Williamson or like a KD. So I don't think he gets that type of attention. But like he's going to be a franchise player with any team he goes to, because he's that guy that all of a sudden you look at the stat sheet, you're like, damn, he had 23, 14, and 9 on 60% shooting. It's like a lot of those dudes in the league that you don't. He's going to fit in well with the next superstars of the league, the Cade Cunninghams, the Lucas, all those guys, because he fits it. And you know what, PM? He doesn't say shit to anybody.
Ever.
Ever. It's just like I've never met a Duke guy. Like, can I be honest? Like, we talk about like Grayson, JJ, all these guys are my boys. But for some reason, they were always hated. I feel like Cooper is more liked than all those other guys that kind of fit that look. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the successful whites down there at Duke. I understand exactly what you're saying.
It's real.
On that
it's a real thing.
On that note, like AJ liked Duke up there. He's from Centerville. Like Duke had a national reach since the very beginning in basketball, and it's like you either hated them or loved them if you weren't down there, let alone the North Carolina Duke hatred and everything like that. But in the basketball world, the Duke brand was very polarizing, and I think it was because, some of the players are maybe punchable, is how people kind of viewed it, especially at Duke. It's like this Duke team feels different. We've been talking about it all year, and I think it might be the coach. Connor has a question for you.
Yeah, Jay Will, it sounds like Jon Scheyer, while he was playing, was just an absolute dog. Pat Bev told a story about him when he was, Mr. Illinois in high school and everything like that. And obviously, he was a little after your time, but after you graduated from Duke and, all their merch now is the brotherhood, the brotherhood, the brotherhood. Did you ever hear a story of when he was at Duke that kind of changed your perception around Jon Scheyer? Because, Pat Bev's story, it goes that everyone in Illinois was calling him White Mike. Kids were walking from the projects to watch his high school games. He would always go play against anyone. He didn't care about anything. He was just a baller hooper. Was there anything like that while you were at Duke or while he was at Duke that you heard and you were like, oh shit, okay, maybe this Duke team would end up, go on to win the national championship?
Connor, I don't know if there was a story I heard of him before, but I will tell you this. And you can feel this in certain areas, especially when you go into areas where I played basketball. There were certain people, from the suburbs, regardless whether you're white or black, that looked uncomfortable. You could tell, you don't really want to fucking be here. I don't know if you got it in you to play here right now, right? Yeah. And John just never changed. There was this confidence about him. Whenever he was John could be in an all-black gym with hoopers talking trash to him, and he's going to be John. There's going to be no code switching. There's going to be no being small. He's going to be John because he had confidence in the way he actually hooped. And I think that's why Pat Bev told that story. You don't meet real hoopers like that have that shit to them 24/7, 365. And I think that's how you see John coach. And he's not afraid to meet you where you're at and tell you the truth to your face, regardless of the outcomes. And for me, I've always respected that he has that stuff to him, man. That's what's always made him different. And he's like a young basketball Brad Stevens. He has a high IQ.
How about Coach K did it his way, obviously, and then he comes in there afterwards, massive shoes to fill, and he's doing it in his own way. And the team is more liked, I think, nationally. Yeah. I think it's more relatable of a team. I think he's done a great job. He came on our show and did fantastic. Okay, let's pivot to the NBA, Jay Will. Good luck to all college hoopers this weekend.
Go get it.
Let's pivot to the NBA. Tone has a question for you, Jay.
Yeah, Jay Will, one of the reasons why we love you and respect you so much is that you're just always so level-headed. And there was a lot
Tone? What you say, Tone? I can't hear you. Shooter McGavin. What you say?
Well. Let's not John Morant this thing.
Sorry.
Everybody relax.
But there was a lot of... I want to know if it's overreaction this morning to Luka's performance last night. He didn't shoot well, and a lot of people are saying that they're taking advantage of him on the defensive end. Is that overreaction from the talking heads this morning? Is there anything to worry about with the Lakers on that?
It's always overreaction, man. It's every game. Is this the end of the Lakers? I'm it was one game. And by the way, look. Does Luka have some matador defense issues? Ole, yes, right? But when you're prolific offensively like that, it covers all those mistakes. And last night, the narrative could have easily been Luka made 4 out of 6 threes, and those passes that he made to Gabe Vincent or to Dorian Finney-Smith, they didn't go 1 of 10. They went 6 of 10, and the Lakers win this game. It's literally that easy. And the one thing I always like about JJ, JJ doesn't give a shit who you are. He's always going to tell you exactly how he feels. And he's like, it just wasn't his night. But tonight could be his night. The next night could be his night. All he needs to do is find his rhythm. Now, Golden State has something to do with that. That would be a matchup we would love to see. But, don't get it twisted, man. If Luka's playing at a high level and Bron is playing the way he played last night, they could easily be in the Western Conference Finals, and they could easily be in the NBA championship.
Bron on the way to the game, seemingly very confident, put up the IG story about being him. And it was okay, Bron's about to have a big-time night, especially against Golden State. He did. Luke obviously doesn't shoot as well, and then he had to guard Steph on numerous occasions, and Steph can cook with the ball in his hands, not just shooting, which I think people forget that, because Kyrie gets a lot of attention for the handles, which he certainly should. Kyrie certainly should. Steph is nasty with a basketball, absolutely filthy with a basketball, which kind of goes to the conversation about the era talk. It's the era talk. Because I think Steph on a basketball court, obviously he looks undersized. I still think he's, 6'2"? I think we saw him 6'3",
6'4".
So he's still large. On a basketball court, he looks small, but he's still large. And his hand, everybody talks about his shot. His handles are nasty. Last night it was obviously on full display. I think he's a lot more comfortable, maybe healthy, and with Jimmy Butler on the team, maybe empowered alongside Draymond. But I appreciated you kind of sticking up for him, being come on, let's not, this guy changed all of basketball for a reason, and if he had to have, he would have been able to do it back then. Not saying everybody in this generation is better than everybody in last generation, but this is GOAT talk here with Steph, and I think you try to put a little bit more respect on said name and generation. Is that accurate, Jay?
Yeah, PM, I'm just Stephen A., put a name on it. Tell me who the old fella is that said he would drop 17 so we can have a real conversation about it. And why do we need to use ghosts from the past to diminish the greatness of today? Why do we need to keep doing that? Isn't that shit old? We can't just appreciate what's right in front of us. This dude, you'll never hear this comp before. He reminds me of White Chocolate, because White Chocolate would do this type of stuff where he would just try shit in the game. Hell yeah. Steph just tries shit. You're you just tried that? And it worked? The whole move against CP3 where he made him fall, he just tried it. Like, and I think it's the fact that he has this wizard-like feel to his game. It's so special. We don't need to diminish it. We don't need to do that.
Yeah, I concur. And Jay Will, the other Jay Will, white chocolate, absolute dog.
Legend.
He might be the real one. He might be the real one, PM. He's the real one. I'm okay to say that.
Your Duke run was basically at the same time, the kind of similar time frames of the Jay Will. Yeah.
PM, there was he was bringing the ball down the court when he was in Memphis, and he had this play where they said wide out, and it was he definitely yanked me from right to left. It was embarrassing, and then literally the next play he called the same shit, wide out, and if you could have seen me slide back and look to my left, look to my right, like slide in, help, and I was on the island by myself for like 7 possessions, and I walked away saying, I'm happy I changed my name to Jay. I changed it to Jay. He's Jason. I got it.
Hey, you did one of these, brother? You did one of these? You tapped out of there? You went ahead and hit the bench?
Quickly. I wanted to be on the bench faster than anybody.
All right, let's get back on the defensive side.
Yep.
Not again.
Nope.
This again.
Help. Time out. Get me out. Get me out.
You're not the only one, and you should see him play football, I think, too. I think he's a quarterback. And then now he's telling stories. What a legend, dude. Fun to watch him. Just like it is fun to catch up with you every single time we get a chance to chat. Ty has a question for you, Jay.
Yeah, Jay, well, I understand that it's like the small market deal, but why do you think there is such little respect for teams like the Thunder and the Cavs in the national media? The Thunder this year are unbelievable, especially when you look at the standings in the Western Conference. Do you think it's valid because neither one of those teams, at the end of the day, people think they can win a championship this year? Or is it just because they're in places like OKC and Cleveland and places like Boston and LA and, what they're doing in Golden State and the Knicks? Is it just more fun and more people care to talk about that kind of stuff?
Ty doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't pay the bills, right? What pays the bills is when you talk about Bron and the Lakers. What pays the bills is when you talk about Golden State and Steph Curry's legacy and where he'll be, right? OKC don't pay the bills. And I try to push it daily. I'm like, SGA is having one of the best years we've ever seen. And by the way, this team is such low-hanging fruit when people are like, this team is better than the 2012 team with KD. I'm like, why does it need to be? It's like when I do the draft, it's like if I saw Austin Reeves in college, why do I need to compare him to another white player? Why do I need to do that? This team actually reminds me a little bit of the 2014 Spurs team because they're top to bottom really good. They have depth, right? And they can easily win the NBA Finals. It's not been about the MVP for Shea. It's been about, I want to win. But it doesn't serve the masses because ratings tell you that people care about the Lakers, which is why every day there's a different narrative about the Lakers. There's a spin on it. So real basketball heads know that OKC is them, but it takes real basketball heads to break these platforms and to say, no, we're actually going to discuss a team that we actually think deserves the praise. But like I said before, Ty, I don't pay the bills, man.
If SGA wins a couple MVPs and everything like that, maybe his stardom will carry OKC into the conversation. When LeBron was with Cleveland, obviously all anybody was talking about was Cleveland. And Cleveland obviously in a position to go on and win it all this year as well. But if you just do math and you do the ratings conversation, it's like, think about how many people are in LA versus how many people are, the reach could potentially be just of their fan base, triple, maybe even quadruple at least what it would be in OKC. So that's a tough balance there when you're like, well, there's more people that are definitely going to listen to this, so we shouldn't talk about this. It's like, what about the league? What's good for the sports media is an interesting place.
Tough.
That's an interesting place, certainly. Just like the New York coverage and the LA coverage. And the NFL has this issue. You'll see the Jets and Giants on probably 5 straight primetime games, and they're going to be ass.
Yep.
More than likely. Mm-hmm. The whole time. And that's just because there's so many motherfuckers that live in that area that are going to watch guaranteed. So if you want a guaranteed number, here's the way you do it. It's an interesting world, but the league is in a great spot, we think, both the NFL and the NBA. You feel that as well? I feel like there is a little bit of a swell of positivity around the NBA right now.
I think there is. I got a little bit. I got on one today, PM. I got on one today about the whole John Morant. And I get it. Look, you can't mock the commissioner, especially after you got a warning. But how many NBA finals I watch where dudes go, Boom. Like I see it all the time. Every game I go to, I see all that, and it's
because it's a shot.
It's a three. By the way, and this means three. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Hoopers, right? It's that way, and it's just like I see it, and I get it. I'm not sitting up here saying that John Morant should not have done it, but like everybody does it. So I went on a burner this morning. I'm like, all right, if that's a really big thing, then draw the line and just ban all of it. Ban all gun gestures. Just do it. So everybody can stop, because he ain't the only one doing it.
Agreed with everything you said, and we said earlier, like, hey, Ja, if they're being unfair towards you, like, you just got to swallow that and just
exactly. I agree with you on that.
It sucks that you're being treated unfairly because of things that have happened in the past, and you're very young, and we're watching you mature in the spotlight in real time. But it's like, we need Ja. Like, I think we all agree as sports fans, need Ja on the court. And if this is going to be something that's going to take away from that in future, and inevitably, we would like that to disappear. The NFL banned basically all gun references. Yeah. We were wondering if you could relay the message to Ja. He needs a sword.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh.
You know?
Yeah.
He can even do one of these. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Lightsaber?
I like that.
Yeah. Maybe a guillotine.
Lightsaber.
Yeah.
Guillotine. Yeah, guillotine. Set it up. Get someone to set it up.
Yeah.
Ninja stars.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe ninja stars. Pull them out of his back pocket.
Yeah.
There's other ways.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Maybe he has a gun and he just discharges the round and he catches it and puts it in his pocket.
That's not bad.
Just take a grenade. Just
catches it.
Take it out.
Grenade.
Toss it.
Like that.
Grenade.
And then Edie,
blow it up.
Yeah.
Edie catches it, swallows it. Sick.
Yeah. Bang. Edie one-hands it, grabs it, swallows it, saves the world.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
See,
be so cool.
John, we could get creative with this. I didn't even think about this being 3, you know? Because could you imagine a 4-point play being like, boom? That's amazing, dude. All right. Shout out to basketball. We appreciate you, Jay. College game day tomorrow?
It's tomorrow, baby. We're on all day long.
What time? Yeah, what time?
What time is game day tomorrow, Chris? 2 Eastern.
Boom.
2 Eastern.
Thank you, Chris. All right. Have a good one, brother. We appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. Jay Will.
Yeah, Jay Will.
2 Eastern leading into the Final Four. Final Four is like one of those ones like you just watch.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Women's Final Four tonight as well.
Bingo. These are like things you just kind of like watch. They feel like bigger moments. Even if you're not watching all March Madness and all of the tournament, it's like whenever you get to the Final Four of anything, it's like, all right, here's semifinals. Who's going to be a national champion?
Yep.
UCLA, UConn, South Carolina, Texas. Dahn Staley back in the dance, obviously. UConn, how you doing? Representing. The men couldn't do it. Maybe UConn goes on the run. UCLA feels like a staple in the basketball world. And then Texas, I was down in their practice facility down there.
Nice.
That is an operation. They are ready to go. Good luck, ladies.
Well, get them. Get them, ladies.
Steph Curry couldn't play back then. It's like he would, and
are people? No one's actually saying that, are they?
I don't know.
Well, about Steph.
The guy told somebody he'd only score 17 if he was lucky.
What the guy said is he would have only scored 17 because we would have injured his ass. We would have went at his ankles. We would that was what he basically said.
We're gonna body Steph.
Yeah.
Okay. That's I watching Steph kind of do his thing last night in this game. This was a good game to watch. There was like back-to-backs there. Now, granted, the Golden State team was up like 8-12 most of the game, but there'd be little runs by LA, and obviously they're in the crypt there in Los Angeles, and the LA fans would get behind it, feel like they get a game, then you look down, it's like 8 still, 6 still, nonetheless. There was big moments from Braun, big moments from Steph. Luka had some entertaining situations. He drew a foul on a 3-point shot like immediately after Steph did. Like the last time down, Steph kicked his legs out at Luka, hip hits him. Okay, so he shoots a free throw. Then I think there was a technical given. So then Steph even had a free throw in the middle of his 3 shots. So he shot 4 straight free throws, only made 3 of them. Luka's bitching the entire time. Then the next time down, Luka has a 3, and the guy nears him, kicks his feet at the guy. gets the call. He's on the foul line. It was like a funny moment there. And Lucas said, like, okay, if this is what we're calling, I'm just going to kick everybody. Yeah. And it was an electrifying game for a bit, even though the score wasn't always as tight.
The sequence we're watching right now, it was a Reeves 3, it was a LeBron 3, it was a Curry 3, and what's his name?
Podzemski
hit 3, who had 28 last night. It was 4 back-to-back threes at the end of the game. That was awesome.
Did you see who sits right next to the Lakers bench every single game?
Who's that?
Still Jack?
Some guy.
Ooh. Did not Jack anymore?
I think he represented Vince. I think he ran Vinny Chase.
Sure.
Okay. I paid $3,000 for these seats. I can shoot a 3 if I want to. Guys, still
bringing it.
Still there because LeBron was in the middle of it with somebody too. LeBron, after Draymond Green got a foul, I think he wanted a tech or something like that, or an intentional, and LeBron was getting into it with a ref, and there was just one guy sitting right there underneath, laughing at the whole time. And I think he's had those seats for probably 30 years or whatever.
Yeah.
He does need to put up a 3, by the way.
Yes.
We would like to let him know you get a ball and you put that thing up.
At any time. Doesn't need to be a dead ball. Doesn't need, like.
On the corner. Get a steal.
Yeah.
One registered steal.
Yeah.
Punch that thing out. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, live from the showcase happening in Boulder, Colorado. Shedeur, Travis Hunter, and the other Colorado Buffaloes who are looking to make it to the NFL are putting together a workout in beautiful Colorado. There is a man that has boots on the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, former draft spectacular pundit, a man who's a mock drafter's mock drafter. He's got a new haircut. Ladies and gentlemen, Field Yates.
Yeah, Field.
Let's go. Hey, 3 months since Christmas was the last time I got this haircut, and there's no sign of slowing down right now, boys.
I mean, it's very strong. You got a good hair there, but there's a lot of people saying Field is trying to transform into Mel Kiper.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Is that what you got to do at the position there, or what?
I got a lot of respect for Mel, so we're still workshopping this, and you guys can weigh in because maybe I am. It's actually very possible that I'm going for the Mel Kiper look. The question is it Mel Kiper Jr. or Mel Kiper III? A lot of debate over the past few days about which nickname works better. So I'm open to what you guys think on it.
Yeah.
But
Correct.
the third? All right,
Yeah.
Mel Kiper the third. Stamp it right now.
Anytime you can drop a third on there, you definitely do that.
That feels powerful.
And right now, you got that thing swooping a little bit to the side, really powerful. Mad Many. Like that thing looks good. There was a time you were on TV. You were team on yesterday. It went straight back,
Yep.
and I think that's the
look.
That was the Mel Kiper. If you're trying to be the third, I think that's what you need to do. With this one, you just look like a man who has a healthy head of hair.
Yeah.
And you should be showcasing that. Okay, let's talk about what's happening out at the showcase. Obviously, the Giants' entire brass is there. I believe the Cleveland Browns' entire brass is there. I assume every single team is represented in this thing. We talked to Ian Rapoport earlier. He said the Tennessee Titans, not as many people there, but they also have a visit happening later. What do you think is the conversation here? Because that guy, if you listen to Dan Orlovsky, should maybe go to the Cleveland Browns, especially if they're bringing in Kirk Cousins, when at the beginning of this entire process, Cleveland Browns were definitely taking a quarterback, and it was probably going to be Shedeur, who's obviously also there. What are your thoughts, Field Yates, at this moment on those two guys, and how big of a day is this out there in Colorado?
This is a huge day now. This is a big testament to what Coach Prime has assembled out here. There is, dozens upon dozens of media here. They're actually over right now talking to Coach Prime. And this swarm of people looks like when you're at the combine and the number one prospect does his media appearance, and you can just see bodies upon bodies upon bodies. But the scenes here from the various teams, and they're all 32 are here, by the way. I did hear that is confirmed, which is no surprise when you've got two of the most notable players in the draft. But it's the people specifically from the teams that caught my attention. You've got, as you mentioned, a ton of the Browns brass here. But how about this? I've been to a good number of pro days in my life, but talking to a bunch of scouts here, something that they had never seen previously. There's an owner here. Jimmy Haslam from the Browns is here right now at the Colorado Pro Day, which you can interpret that however you want to, but it's a sign that the Browns probably have one of, if not both, Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter on their radar when they pick number 2 overall. So the Browns are leaving no stone unturned in terms of their preparation. The Titans will be here. The Giants are en route as well. I believe both of the larger contingents from those teams are actually scheduled to fly out this morning and arrive any minute now, because we're about 50 or so minutes from when Shedeur first throws. So a lot of energy in this building right now. Tons of people are pumped to be here.
Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, when you watched Shedeur throw, we had Dan Orlovsky on the other day, and he said he wants to see him. What do you say, Pat? Like really step into it and really get on top of a throw or something. Make those.
Wants to see the ball pop out of his hands. He said. Wants to see the ball pop out of his hand.
Do you agree with Dan on that one field? Like, and what are you looking for when you see Shedeur work out today?
Yeah, so Dan mentioned this, like the offense they played in Colorado, like the variance of throws wasn't great. It wasn't like a ton of different things you see. It's a lot of stuff at or near the line of scrimmage, because we know how great Travis Hunter is, but they've got 2 or 3 other receivers who might get drafted like late in the draft. So they basically just had a bunch of guys who are electric with the football in their hands. Why bother not letting those guys do what they can do best when it was working to great effect? I mean, they were certainly a good offensive team these past couple of seasons. So I think we'll see more variance of what kind of throws Shedeur actually throws in the next hour or so here. Shedeur is not one of those guys that's going to win at the NFL level because he's got this overwhelming arm strength. It's going to be because I still believe he is the most refined pocket passer in this year's class, the best combination of accuracy and touch. And there are quarterbacks in the NFL right now that, if you asked him to throw a football next to Josh Allen, it would look not that impressive. But they win because they're surgical, they're accurate. They win pre-snap and they win post-snap as well. So not having elite arm strength is not going to be the kind of thing that's going to prevent Shedeur Sanders from being a successful quarterback.
He's been able to make every throw thus far, and 55% of his throws were within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage or less. We found that stat out yesterday from the great Hembo, but he has those deep shots, and obviously there's other questions. I'll be excited to see what ends up happening, because Dan called it the toughest prospect to scout or something like that because of all those things, but also family, how greatness has kind of been shown to him his entire life. Like, there's so much that goes into it. Which team falls in love with Shedeur will certainly be a draft night storyline. Now, Connor has a question about your latest mock.
Yeah, Field, you had your newest mock this weekend. Obviously, as a Patriots fan, I have to say, at number 4, you do have Travis Hunter going there. Now, it feels as though after you released this mock draft, there started to be reports that, hey, the Giants and the Browns aren't going to take Shedeur, that most likely Shedeur is dropping a little bit. Now, it is early April. It is smokescreen season. If there were ever a time for teams to kind of get away from a player, it would be right now. Do you feel like you still feel good about Shedeur at 2 or 3? Is the fact that Haslam is there for the Browns make you think that he's more so there to see a franchise quarterback versus a franchise player like Carter or Hunter? And has anything really changed for you since releasing this mock?
Yeah, not a great feeling when, like, hours after your mock goes live, Schefter is talking about with Ty about how, maybe Shedeur is more likely to go to the Saints at 9 or the Steelers at 21 as opposed to 3 where I had him. That being said, I'll just sort of input what I have from here is, I do think that the Giants need to consider a quarterback. On top of that, talking to some scouts here on the field, they're like, I tell you, if the Giants aren't interested in Shedeur, it's not going to be because of lack of effort, because people that have been either in Boulder or at games that they were playing on the road this year have noticed the Giants are always well represented. So they have certainly done their homework on Shedeur. Maybe their conclusion by the time we get to April 24th is that he is not the quarterback that they believe is worth that number 3 overall pick. But I haven't ruled it out entirely. I think the NFL has shown us time and again that, really the only chance you have for sustained success is to find a quarterback. And even if that percentage is lower in your eyes on Shedeur Sanders compared to what Cam Ward's potential hit rate is, I mean, the NFL we've seen plenty of quarterbacks that have probably slid through the cracks unnecessarily and gone on to become really good players. So it's 3 more weeks. Maybe the Giants really are set on not taking a quarterback, but it also wouldn't totally stun me if that conversation continues until April 24th. And at the very least, the Browns and the Giants have another player who's the best player, at least in my opinion, in the class, and Travis Hunter, to make this trip worth every bit of it, because while he is not running or jumping or anything in the work prior to the on-field stuff, it does sound like Travis Hunter is going to run routes for Shedeur Sanders. That'd be a cool thing to see those two guys connecting for probably the last time as teammates before they go their separate ways in the NFL.
Shout out to Shedeur, by the way. Has to be loved by Travis for Travis to come do this. Travis could probably sit out of this and nothing will change. So he's showing up for his quarterback, which is good, obviously, whenever it comes to a leadership role. Whenever we're in this season, what season are we in right now?
We are currently in smokescreen season. And during the draft, that more so means like, hey, if you hear a team hates a player, that means they love a player.
Probably loves it,
Okay,
right?
so on that note, there's one particular player being slotted to a city, basically by everybody. AP Tone has a question for you.
Yeah, there is. And you did it as well, Field, and Dan Orlovsky is just talking glowingly about Jackson Dart. You and Mel are talking glowing about Jackson Dart. I heard his pro day was awesome, 10 out of 10, off the charts. So when you guys are doing that at 21, is that because the Steelers don't have a quarterback and you're like, oh, this makes sense? Or is that actually stuff that you're hearing from scouts within the league or people within the league that think that it could be a potential?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of felt like when I was doing it on Wednesday, but at the very least, I could say, I mean, they don't have a quarterback other than Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson on the roster. I know that they're comfortable, they say they're comfortable with Mason as their starter for the season, at least at the beginning. I don't know that I buy that idea at all. This is a team that I hate to remind, as you know, obviously 5 straight losses in the playoffs. Like at some point, if you're Pittsburgh, you got to aim a little bit higher at the quarterback hierarchy. And while some people will say they tried that a few years ago with Kenny Pickett and it didn't work out, that's fair. But you got to keep swinging at quarterback because clearly it's a position that influences everything more than there was no other position in team sports that influences winning more than a quarterback. So it wouldn't stun me. A lot of people here that are boots on the ground in Colorado think that Pittsburgh would be a natural fit for one of these quarterbacks. And Jackson, I view him as the third quarterback in the draft. Some people might see it a little bit closer between him and Shedeur, but I think he's probably sort of that fringe round one type prospect that, because of the position he plays, could end up going more like 21-35, where I have him ranked on the big board.
All right, Field, we know you got to go. So last question here from AJ about quarterbacks.
Yeah, Field, what's your thoughts on Will Howard? Where do you think he's going to end up going?
Yeah, I had Will in the second round in the mock on Wednesday of this past week. Will had this unbelievable playoff run, and last year we saw obviously Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix have a ton of success, and one of the things they had in common was 5 years of playing in college. Will's in that same boat, right? 4 years at K-State, and then obviously this past year at Ohio State. Played awesome when it mattered most, got big arm, good athlete. They didn't need to run him as much as AJ at Ohio State because of that 1-2 punch at running back, but he can impact the game with his legs as well, so we're in business.
Okay.
I'm getting called over right now, guys. I got to roll.
You're the man, ladies and
Coach
gentlemen.
Prime.
Field, yeah?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Coach Prime, have a good
I'll
one,
tell
buddy.
Coach Prime I say hello.
Yeah,
Will do.
please.
All right, guys.
God bless America, ladies and gentlemen. Field, yeah.
Hell yeah, Fields. Yeah, he had Will go into the Saints in round 2.
Ooh.
I wouldn't mind that. For Will.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Makes sense.
I mean, nobody has a clue.
No one has any idea.
Isn't that awesome? Abdul Carter's going to the Browns. Yep, Abdul Carter's going to the Browns. Pair him with Myles Garrett, bring in Kirk Cousins. What are you going to do? You're not going to be able to do anything. Then Dan Orlovsky, who has his own sources and has done his own thing. Do you pass on Travis Hunter if he's there too? It's like, well, is Dan just saying that because of film? Is Dan just saying that to start conversation, or is Dan saying that because he potentially talked to people? And that's kind of the game that we're in the middle of. Who's saying what because of who said what, And that is a real, to your point, smokescreen season. Who's telling the truth? Who's lying? What's real? What isn't? This year, more question marks than ever, feels like.
Yeah, hearing that Haslam is there at the pro day, obviously Travis Hunter can be a reason, but with what Haslam just said about Deshaun Watson and everything, does that make you think Haslam's there to watch Shedeur more so they don't get it wrong again?
I mean, who knows? And then he said that the Giants were well represented in all these games. It's like, what if that was for Travis Hunter?
Yep.
There's so many questions. Have a great weekend. We hope you enjoy the Final Four. We'll be back live on Monday, because Magic will be taking place on a national championship. Next Wednesday, big night out. Next week should be big for us. We hope you'll join us. We'll see you then. Goodbye.
Hell yeah.
Not the best sign off, but
it's pretty good.
We're in the middle of a good conversation there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Because whenever, when Field says that the locals and the people that are at the games are like, the Giants have learned a lot about Shedeur. Okay, maybe they have. Legitimately, maybe they have. And I think Shedeur had Giants shoes on, I think, at one point. Cleats. So, that has been a convo this entire time. But I think the Giants people could say, look, they're also learning about
the other guy.
The one of one over here. Not that Shedeur isn't that, and I'll be excited to see what Shedeur is in the NFL. But the way everybody is kind of talking about Travis right now, ex-players, scouts, mock drafters, coaches, media, everybody's like, this dude's different. This isn't just oh, he was good in college type conversation. This seems to be an actual generational athlete, AJ, in front of our eyes.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, like, yeah, nobody really knows what anybody's going to do, but also once you get past the first couple picks, even the first couple picks, like everyone after them, they're reacting to what has happened around them, who's trying to trade up. Like, yeah, you can have an idea of who you're taking, who you want to take, but that can all change with one weird trade up top that you didn't see coming, or a team jumps out and takes somebody that you didn't think they were going to take early. Like, all of that can change the first round drastically.
Well, and the Giants, like, they may have done all their work on Scheyer and fallen in love with him, but everything they've done in the offseason, like, we saw how aggressively they went after Stafford, and then what they were reportedly like willing to give Rodgers money-wise. Like, they wanted a veteran quarterback. So that doesn't mean that they weren't willing to take a guy like Scheyer at 3, but that would make sense if they were all in on Stafford and then all in on Rodgers. It's like maybe they wanted Travis Hunter.
Well, and Shane and Daboll have to win now. And does Scheyer drafting you right? Does taking Scheyer this year when you have Russell Wilson and Jameis on the roster help you winning this year, like to keep your jobs?
Yeah, but if you and we know how Daboll, right after watching Hard Knocks offseason, I feel like I know a lot about Daboll too. Loves dogs.
Oh yeah,
loves Malik Neighbors loved everything about it. Like the way Daboll talks to the players that we got to watch. He's like, he just wants to find out if a guy's a dog or not. It's like Travis Hunter, dog. Like that is so. How much is Daboll getting a chance to be like, package on off. We got this entire.
Pair this guy with
we can do whatever.
Yeah. That's why it feels like the Giants there for Hunter, and it just with Haslam being there for the Browns, and I get Travis Hunter is one of one. How often would you see an owner go somewhere to watch a player that's not a quarterback,
a wide receiver, a DB?
Yeah, like how often does that really
second
happen?
Overall pick still high?
No doubt about it. But coming off of what he said at the league meetings, hey, the Deshaun was a huge swing and a miss, and that's on me and that's on D. Like he basically said, like we screwed up with the quarterback. And looking from the outside in, yeah, like Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett would be so cool. Obviously, they would dominate. Maybe, even though no matter what, Myles Garrett has dominated on his own, so you assume adding one of the few blue chip players of what the mock drafters have said and the scouts have said with Abdul Carter would be cool. But like if you truly are going to give Andrew Berry and Stefanski like a clean slate, wouldn't that start with a rookie quarterback who can handle a lot of pressure, which Cleveland does get, even though they're a smaller market? Maybe Cleveland gets shit on for being the bottom team in the AFC North that is always so good, and especially with maybe not the Steelers, but the Steelers are always good with the division looking like it is with a young Lamar, young Burrow. Maybe the Steelers do get a quarterback at 21 or later in the draft. Like if you do love Scheyer, and Mary Kay Cabot, she reported a few weeks ago about how much the Browns loved Scheyer, and I forget what the exact line was, but it was like one man's boastfulness or brash is another man's
confidence or something.
Yeah, it's another man's treasure.
Allegedly some teams reported that they found Scheyer to be brash and arrogant.
There it is.
Yeah, and he they did. Mary Kay Cabot said the Browns see that not that way.
No, it's like a great thing.
Yeah, so maybe Scheyer too, which would be awesome for Scheyer.
Yeah, which would be sweet. And, Schefter saying, he doesn't see a quarterback going 2 or 3. Absolutely. But again, it's that time.
The original, remember, we got to remember this because smokescreen season.
Yes.
The original thing for the Browns was they're taking a quarterback.
Schefter.
At number 2. That was the original.
Schefter said that, yeah.
Yeah, the Cleveland Browns, you can basically guarantee they're going to take a quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And then now it's basically gone, wait a second, maybe they pair Abdul Carter. They paid more money to people. They have less money, okay, because they just paid Myles Garrett. Yeah, maybe they do want to bring in a veteran quarterback that costs more and not get a quarterback. Maybe they want to, pair him with Travis Hunter, get a Travis Hunter in there. Then you get Kirk Cousins come in and play quarterback. How much will the Atlanta Falcons pay of his salary versus how much will the Browns pay of his salary? Kirk Cousins knows the offense, knows the system. They can win right now, as opposed to Deshaun Watson that didn't know the offense, didn't know the system. It's like there's so many arguments, so many different ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many arguments, so many different ways. But Scheyer to the Browns, I think at the beginning that was kind of expected.
Yeah.
And then now, because everything's kind of got muddied, it's like, is it still? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And
what is that, 4th highest odds? Is that what I saw?
Yeah, plus 550 or something to look like for Scheyer. Yeah, plus 550. But that's the other thing, too, is that, with Kirk, of course, when you take a quarterback in the top 3, top 5, he's expected to play. You want him to play. You want him to kind of be that guy for your team. But like, who says they draft Shedeur? Like, do you think they could take Shedeur at 2 and bring in Kirk? Because we're acting like Kenny Pickett is, going to definitely be on the team because they traded for him. And,
it's interesting.
For sure, Kenny could be the third quarterback. But, like, who says they don't get Shedeur and bring in Kirk? Because Kirk does know the offense. So who would be a great guy to teach Shedeur the offense? Probably Kirk Cousins.
It would be awesome if teams start to do the draft young quarterback, have veteran quarterback, and then kind of do the – AJ, haven't we kind of, Aaron got it, obviously, with Brett. That relationship was what it was. It is what it is now, much differently. And then Jordan Love does it. Tom Brady had a chance to do it. It's like, Peyton got dropped in game 1, day 1, had the most interception in the history of any quarterback's rookie year because he has unflappable confidence, so that's why you could drop him in there. But, like, if it does become a forward thinking, a Green Bay Packer thinking, like if we like a quarterback, we're still going to take him, and then we're going to have a veteran quarterback on the roster and then kind of watch how it goes. I think that'd be good for the league as a whole if that becomes a trend, personally. Be boring on draft night, but it would be really cool for the league. I think it'd be good, beneficial for the league as a whole, AJ.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. Conman saying that, could you take Shedeur and still bring in Kirk Cousins? I mean, how much money would you have in the quarterback position when you talk about the money you have out to Deshaun Watson and Kirk?
So then Atlanta would have to pick up a lot of the...
You'd have to negotiate, to where Atlanta pays the majority of his salary that you owe him.
The Russell thing with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh only had to pay him $1 million or whatever.
The thing with Atlanta, though, is like... Denver didn't want Russ. Like they wanted him out like for short. In Atlanta, they are saying they are cool with Kirk being the backup and keeping him there. So why would they take on his contract unless Kirk makes a stink? Unless Kirk demands a trade.
In business wise though, if you're trying not to pay for somebody's contract, I think a good position would be we're okay keeping this guy. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have that is a leverage play. Not saying that they're not okay keeping Kirk. They might be. Because Penix, we only saw him for half a season or whatever. We don't know what it's going to be full-time. Injuries happen at quarterback position. Not wishing that upon anybody, but that's real. We paid Kirk. We liked Kirk. We still like Kirk. There is a chance that is the case at $37 million or whatever they added to it a couple weeks back. But there's also a case that if you were trying to negotiate starting quarterback to get out of your building and go somewhere else, you would certainly want everybody to think that you want him in the building still. That would certainly be your position. Which once again leads to, we don't know shit at this stage of the NFL season about anything.
No, and we'll see what they value more, like whether or not they would want a team to take on some of his salary or whether they want some draft compensation for him. Because if he doesn't get traded before the draft, then obviously they're okay with, trying to get something done after the fact because teams will probably get, they might panic a little bit if they don't get one of the guys that they kind of had circled going into the draft. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's one of those things where we're expecting Kirk Cousins to get traded to the Browns, before the draft, and then we get some clarity on the situation.
Let's pivot to some other sports before we enjoy the hell out of this weekend on this Feel Good Friday. Soccer. I don't know if you guys saw Jose Mourinho try to rip a guy's nose off.
That was nuts.
Let's go to CONCAFA pod host Bubba Gumpino. What the hell's happening in soccer, Gumpy?
Just a classic dust up in the Turkish league. Mourinho had enough of this guy's shit and gave him the old fish hook, and the guy dropped like a sack of patatas.
Okay, Jose Mourinho used to coach for...
He coached Chelsea, coached Tottenham, coached Roma. Now he's coaching the Turkish league for Fenerbahce.
And this other coach, do we know who he is?
He coaches for Galatasaray. I've never seen this man before.
Okay, and he just couldn't take him anymore?
Mourinho doesn't put up with much shit. He's kind of had a tough go this year in the Turkish league.
Well, he'll find his footing, obviously, and his hands. Yeah, he'll find his hands in there.
Actually, rumors of him maybe taking the Brazil national team job. It's open right now.
Why don't you come to America?
Why don't we get him?
Yeah, why
we
got
Poch. Poch has got
He
it.
sucks.
Okay. He's at the wheel.
No, he doesn't.
He's at the wheel, man.
He doesn't.
He's at the wheel.
Poch is good.
Man.
Hey, Ty, how did we do against Panama?
Yeah, we got killed.
Oh, okay. So Poch is great.
You lost to him with Berhalter at the wheel, too.
Yeah, we lost to Panama.
Listen, Poch is doing it with Berhalter's guys, okay? He needs to get his guys in there.
I thought Panama was becoming the 51st state. Now we're losing to them in soccer.
They said Panama was good? No, we did lose to Canada, too, which was seemingly has gotten pretty quiet.
Good
match. That was very loud there for a while. I didn't help, obviously.
If he doesn't get written confirmation from Lionel Messi that he is going to change his name name to Lou Messi, and he's going to play for us in the next World Cup by, let's say, July 8th of this year. Then I want him out.
Give the Gold Cup. After the Gold Cup, if there's shit in the Gold Cup, then you can say he's shit.
And we know when the Gold Cup is,
It's in
obviously.
the summer.
It's this summer. It's
I'm already done.
We know. Now, speaking of Lou Messi, hopefully that is capable of happening. And I don't know if the Argentinian people will be as thrilled as we would be, but Ballon d'Or plays and calls America home at this point. With that being said, Carl Ravitch yesterday certainly caused quite a stir on the internet. He said Shohei Ohtani is the most popular athlete in the world. Boy. In the moment, I automatically went to soccer players in my head because those are notoriously the biggest numbers. But I don't know Shohei's game. I don't know Shohei's game as much. So if you would have told me Shohei is the most popular person on earth, I think without following along, I'd be like, that makes sense because of what he's done for baseball. The soccer people are not happy about that. At all. Gumpy, is Messi the most famous athlete on earth? And how long has it been that way? Ronaldo too, right?
Messi and Cristiano for like 10, 15 years now. Like they are legends of the game. Everybody wants to have the debate like LeBron, Jordan, but they played in the same era. I think you just got to enjoy that both those guys are doing it. Like they're both been unbelievable for so long, gone to different teams, won at different teams.
Guys, Gumpy would say, Tone's smiling like a butcher's dog.
What's that? Guess how many followers Cristiano has on IG?
I think I know this. 535 million?
650 million.
Wow.
Messi,
But who does?
How many
Who
are
does?
bots?
Who does?
Ronaldo.
Cristiano.
That's a good question. Are those real?
Messi has 500.
Okay. 500 million?
What Shohei got?
9.
Wow. What? 900 million?
Nope, just 9. Just a niner.
Carl was talking reckless yesterday.
Shohei's new.
9 million?
Reckless.
Nude IG. How many does Taylor Swift have?
6 or 7, I think.
What about The Rock?
How many people are in the world?
Selena Gomez is up there.
Oh, yeah.
The Rock's at 394.
394 million
Taylor's
people?
got 280.
So many fucking humans.
Foxy's right. Check Selena Gomez.
I think she had the most at one point.
At one point, she did.
Yeah.
But
her and Benny Blanco.
Oh, yeah. She got a new album out.
421.
421 million people?
Think about Messi and Ronaldo, though. Like, Messi's gone. Argentina, was in Spain. Now he's in the U.S. Cristiano, gone to Spain, was in England. Now he's in Saudi. Like
Portugal. Obviously.
Yeah. Like,
Ronaldo, you want to grow? Get your ass to America, bitch.
Well, he's in Saudi getting like $1 billion a year.
So cool. The New England Revolution are calling his name.
The Columbus Crew. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the United States men's national team, Lou Messi.
There he is.
Wow. Is he at a ball game again?
No, he's celebrating 4th of July with a good ballpark.
We would like to say we do not know if this is a real photo.
Louis,
Jesus.
Very real.
Louis Messi
real.
back again.
Yeah.
Enjoying his favorite dog.
Yeah.
Oscar Mayer.
It's kind of sloppy with the mustard and ketchup.
Yeah,
No.
he slops it up.
I didn't expect him to be this style of mustarder and condimenter. I'll tell you what, as a dog kid growing up on hot dogs, it wasn't until maybe my 9th birthday, 10th birthday, I saw Kenny run a hot dog stand at the Plum Community Days. And this guy, he would get the buns out, he'd flip the metal thing, grab the bun, they're being steamed, flap it down, make that thing flat. He'd get a brush, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Grabs the ketchup, puts it on one side of the bun, grabs another brush like a painter, like he's fucking Bob Ross, goes into the mustard, pum. You want some onions? Flips open the onion, then puts dog on top, then closes. And I'm like, genius. Why are we putting the shit on top? We should be putting it on the bottom. And for everybody that does, is a hot dog a sandwich or not? It's a fucking sub, okay? It's the smallest sub. Hoagie, wherever you're from, that is what it is. And it looks great in Lou Messi's hand.
It does.
It does.
Delicious.
Yeah. That might be the best Lou Messi.
And you can't see it, but I'm almost positive. Not this one, the previous one. He's wearing a camo USA.
Is he double dogging in that photo?
2 dogs, 1 bun. Think about it. Lou Messi.
Okay, yeah.
That baby Lou.
That's Lou.
Thank you, Lou.
That boy, Lou.
All right, Lou. We need him.
Sweet Lou.
Wow.
And Ponch speaks Spanish, right?
yes, sir.
Now we got.
And so does Lou.
Yeah.
2 buns, 1 dog.
Pooch is out. Bring in Mourinho.
Well, especially if he's going to be hooking people in games.
Why did the coach have to flop too? Why did that coach have to flop? Like
Soccer football, baby. That's soccer football.
That's the Turkish league, brother.
Mourinho's
I don't think he's been fish hooked in quite a while.
Okay, so we would like to say congrats to Shohei on being very popular.
Yeah.
Okay, very, very popular. But I guess there is levels to this entire thing, and the soccer people are way up there. I saw one comment because obviously I was in the post. ESPN put it out, I think, or SportsCenter put it out.
Yeah.
Hey, listen to what this guy said, is basically what they said in the caption. The comments responded as such. And the one thing was like, everybody in Japan knows Shohei. Everybody in Japan knows Lionel Messi. Everybody in Argentina knows Lionel Messi. Nobody in Argentina knows Shohei Ohtani. And then he said, that's just 2 countries. They're home countries. Let alone everything else. I guess the numbers would prove it. But I think Shohei here early in his run, let's check back 5 years from now. Let's check back 10 years from now and see where it's at. But at the moment, I think Ravi was... predicted the future.
He was excited.
He's hyping it up.
He was jacked up.
I mean, not too long later, listen, I love Michael King. He said Michael King has got the best stuff in the big leagues right now. He doesn't. He's a great player.
Oh, yeah, he was jacked up.
But he was very
Not
excited.
even top 10.
He was very excited. And that's why I love Ravi.
Yeah, and he had the AirPod in, sitting in a room, buttoned down.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, he was selling baseball.
Exactly, which is what you got to do.
The thing about the soccer is 600 million followers. Is that
That's Ronaldo.
He's the most on Instagram behind Instagram.
There's no way those are all real. There's just no way. That's so many people.
But how
okay,
many?
so let's
like,
say
what
100 million
percentage
aren't real. Okay, 100 million of them aren't real. 500 million.
That's still a lot.
That's so many people.
Yeah. That's why people think he's the GOAT.
True that.
And you could see, bingo. Not Trudeau. True that.
Okay.
Not getting into that. We need to
Was
stay
Tiger
away.
bigger?
I think he would have been, but it's not like social media era.
Yeah, he didn't.
No, it wasn't. But I mean, on all continents, Tiger was very well known.
Yeah, and I think Michael Jordan, obviously, also very, very well known. LeBron, very, very well known on all continents. I guess the soccer guys, just more countries.
It's the world's game.
Yeah.
More countries, they have world tournaments. That's the only...
A lot more of those.
Yeah,
exposure to the rest
Never
of the world.
stop playing.
Exposure, yeah, they don't really stop. I saw something with Tiger and Jack Nicklaus. Boy, Jack Nicklaus is actually the GOAT. I think we...
Yeah. Are you talking about the 15?
Yeah, the check mark thing?
Yeah.
And then you think about it, and it's like, well, different... I think golf is the only sport where you can't really argue errors because it's the
Everybody
course.
had the same tools.
And it's the course.
Well, they do, though. The tools are way better now, though. They blame...
Yeah,
they say
so if
now it's what
anything...
Yeah, but you're competing against your peers still, so that is kind of how it is. Speaking of that, big ruling, I guess, this morning I saw. I remember the Saudi Arabian PIF, Private Investment Fund, was going to team up with the PGA Tour. Now, obviously, that comes after a lot of loud grandstanding and attacking from the PGA Tour side. And then inevitably, a couple years later, a meeting in Italy, I think, for coffee led to the thought that Saudi Arabia and the PGA Tour might actually start working together. Saudi Arabia loves golf, would like to invest more in golf, would like the best for golf was their messaging. And the PGA Tour was doing the same thing. How can we end up working out together? So allegedly, they were trying to get this done for the last year or so. There's been like 5 different occasions where we thought that Saudi Arabia and the PGA were working together. Then we found out that they weren't working together. Now they're saying that it's not going to happen because what the PIF wanted, allegedly from what I read, was they wanted LIV to continue and they wanted Yasir Al-Rumayyan, who I believe is the sports, I don't know the proper term. Sports, the one making a decision. They would like a seat on the board of the PGA-T, which is the next version, or the PGA Tour board or whatever. So, and they were saying that was concessions that they weren't willing to make or whatever in the PGA. I would assume, just as somebody that has done tiny bit of business, might get into more business later with companies that have boards. If somebody puts $1.5 billion into it, I think normally they would get a
Board seat.
Yeah, you get a board seat for that.
Normally, I don't know business as well as others, obviously. I think I do okay in it, but I am still evolving, especially whenever it comes to boards, public companies, trade shares, all that shit. I mean, there's a lot into that. I think that is why there's business courses and shit like that. But just as I've kind of recreationally now have gotten a chance to like see how some of it works, it's like that. I think that would be an expected thing in that particular business. The LIV Golf still continuing, probably what the PGA Tour is like, no, we're not going to do the team Mickey Mouse stuff if we're going to continue to do our stuff. Maybe they don't want their guys that haven't been able to do it yet or haven't done it yet to do it. I don't know. There had to be more than just those two, but I thought they were going to come together. I thought we were going to see all of the peers get a chance to play together again, which I think we're all yearning for. That's why these majors are so important. That's why like the Masters is going to be so highly regarded forever, and more specifically in this particular time, because it is LIV golfers taking on PGA Tour golfers. But then on the weekends that fill in between the majors, it's not the case. So I was hopeful that something was going to happen, and seems like that is not the case. AJ.
No, I mean, think about it. They're willing to give, what, $1.5 billion? Yeah, there's got to be a bunch of different little things that they're working on, they're haggling over, but yeah, if they really, I mean, that could be a sticking point. Hey, we need a board seat, and they're saying you're absolutely not getting a board seat. Okay, what if we give you $10 billion, and you think they continue to say no?
I think, yeah, exactly. And the wording here from Sports Business Journal, and I'm not saying media would ever word things in a way, okay, to build a narrative potentially, but Saudi Arabia's public investment fund failed in its attempt to persuade the PGA Tour to deliver serious concessions in exchange for a $1.5 billion investment. This leaves elite golf no closer to reconciliation than just days from the Masters via The Guardian. And I assume The Guardian worded it the same way. And it's like, I assume if you ask the other half of this negotiation, they say standard. These are standard concessions that we are looking for in business. So hopefully they'll be able to put their swords aside. And there's probably a lot of public leveraging happening as well. But to your point, if that $1.5 billion becomes $5 billion, you know, how is the PGA Tour?
Either way, it's frustrating because we were actually having this conversation yesterday in the think tank. We're like, does John Rahm still play golf? Like, is he like we have the Masters next week? Is he playing golf well? Should we bet on? Like, we just
Brooks.
Like, is Brooks still good? No idea.
People that have gone over there, we don't know. You don't hear anything about them anymore. It's like they went into this place where we just don't see them anymore. And it sucks.
Does that make them more dangerous?
It could, but it sucks for the.
Does that make them more dangerous because nobody knows what they're doing?
Like, would have loved to have seen that a couple weeks ago. Like, you know, when Rory's coming down the stretch. Like, in my head, actually, while that was happening, I was like, one of these other big golfers who are on the LIV Tour could have been in it, and it could have been back and forth, but we're all getting robbed.
Could have been cool for Koepka to be stalking on a Saturday or Sunday because of how cool he always looks. You know, and the way his presence is different than any other golfer. Rombo, with how hot he was getting. Now, granted, they got hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Hundreds of millions, and they still get to play in the majors.
Yeah.
Which they're probably like, what are we even talking about here? But week in, week out, it does feel like we're missing out. And I like watching golf on TV. Great background stuff. And I thought we were going to get back to everybody playing.
Yeah, I thought it was simple fix here.
Right. Go shake their
like 3-4 different times. Didn't we think that was the case? Literally since that coffee meeting in Italy through now, like I've thought there's been numerous times where it's like, everybody's getting back together. Everybody's getting back together.
It's like a victory lap from the LIV golfers. Like, that's actually what it felt like. Like, there's the photo of Phil at the Masters. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but it was the 1 year difference photo, and Phil was like jovial, happy, and it legitimately felt as though LIV was all the way back.
Josh Carpenter's tweet here says that the tour replied Monday to those two requests. Neither were deemed acceptable for a board seat or that LIV would continue. It's like, okay, so now outside people who are potentially looking at it is like, are you negotiating in good faith? If somebody gives you $1.5 billion and you have a board, that person probably gets a board seat. But how many other things are, just get it. Yeah. Hey, we'll figure it out.
Let him have the board seat, and then I can get the LIV part of it's done. Like, we need everyone playing on the PGA Tour, but then give them the board seat and then let them feel like they're a part of it as well because they're given a bunch of money. Like, it seems like a no-brainer to do that.
And we are outside looking in on billion-dollar negotiation here, so obviously we don't know all of the concessions that have taken place, but the board seat one, that when I read that's not acceptable.
Because I understand them not wanting the LIV Tour to continue.
Yeah, because the LIV continuing would be a dance almost like, hey, we still, you know.
Music, shorts, no collared shirts, like that makes sense. But
PGA Tour not wanting that to
Yeah.
represent golf.
54 holes.
Yes, all of that.
Yeah.
We would understand, I think,
Shotgun
publicly.
start.
So we'll see what's actually, all playing at the same time.
Yeah.
There's nobody chasing anybody throughout the day. There's nobody having to wait. I mean, there's a lot of decisions that have been made over there that, the music.
Yeah, Bert Kreischer doing a stand-up set on the 18th green.
I didn't mind that over there in Australia, Adelaide.
They still should do that's the thing. They still should do some of the live courses. Maybe that was one of the things that they were held up on, because I wonder if live has deal with Adelaide and some of these places, and then PGA saying like, okay, well, your tournaments are done. But then they're saying, well, we signed these deals with some of these courses that were for, 7 years or something like that, and they have to play a couple more.
Because some of those places internationally, when Liv showed up, it was like the Waste Management.
Yeah.
And that's good for golf, I think, on a weekend, out of nowhere. Especially if Saudi Arabia is going to get involved. Let's assume that money for the wins.
Maybe a lot of it.
Might be a lot more enticing for guys to play more of these tournaments, Because every once in a while, the leaderboard will be like 10 people we've never heard of before. Great golfers. Holy shit. I appreciate you doing that. But that's tough for me to want to. And then you look through who all played in this tournament. It's like a lot of opt-outs in this particular tournament. A lot of opt-outs. For good reason. Golfer schedule is horrendous.
Ridiculous.
We saw that in full swing. They're there from like Tuesday to Sunday if everything works out well. If they don't make the cut, you get to sleep at home for 2 days. And then you're moving into another house at a new place on Tuesday. It's like their schedule is absurd. So whenever guys opt out, we understand. But if a lot of guys opt out of the same tournament, it's like, this is crap. This is shite. But if there's more money and more enticing for those tournaments, maybe we'll get more people to show up. Maybe every single weekend golf is great. Speaking of weekends being great, let's have one.
Hell yeah.
It's Final Four weekend, AJ.
I know what the second game tips off at 10:35 Eastern.
No,
that
it's
can't
6
be
o'clock
true.
and it is 8:50.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Oh, that's fine. I can handle that.
Remember, 4:12 opening pitch
Today.
Oh boy.
6:09, 8:49. Now that is scheduled to change and move. That 8:49, depending upon how the first game goes. Coverage starts at 2 p.m. Eastern on ESPN for College Game Day. Women's Final Four tonight. Good luck.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Good luck to all the ladies tonight. And shout out to basketball carrying us through. NHL, the great chase happening this evening.
Still chasing tonight. 3 goals away. He sits at 892. I believe he has 7 games left to do it. Pretty good odds.
Plays the Blackhawks tonight out of Chicago. Alexander Ovechkin can certainly score a hat trick against the Blackhawks tonight. And this game is in Washington.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in Washington against the shite.
Capitals are minus 380.
Minus 380. Hat trick to break the record would be
cool. Yep.
Would be sick. Could happen. We'll certainly watch as Alexander the Great continues to do something that none of us could have expected at this age for as long as he's been doing
Is Gretzky going to every game?
Certainly not.
I don't
Does
know.
he have to be there? Is like a whole thing or no?
Is he like passing a jacket over?
He has to.
Right?
There's like Masters, you got to hand over the green jacket.
I mean,
maybe there's a stick that he's held on to forever. That
Maybe a handshake?
Maybe the NHL gave it to him and said, "Hey,
golden stick.
Hey, here's your stick because you're the greatest goal scorer of all time. You will be responsible for turning this over to the next one." And maybe it's like a $10 million
It should be
golden stick.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And Wayno has to skate out there with it, and he scores one last goal with the golden stick.
Ovechkin lines him up. Fucking hip check. Awesome.
It's a yard sale out there.
Yeah.
Picks up a stick.
Is soccer happening this weekend?
Yeah, we're all the way back. All the
Sure,
domestic
tournaments.
leagues are buzzing. Inter Miami plays Sunday night against Toronto.
What time? When do they play LAFC? I thought they just played LAFC.
So LAFC, CONCACAF Champions Cup. This is league. Second leg of the CONCACAF
Yeah.
Champions Cup.
Get it right, man.
Here's it. I'm gonna say this one more time. If it's during the week, it's more than likely cup play.
And remember,
If it's on the weekend, it's more than likely league.
CONCACAF Cup final.
But not 100%.
Wednesday
It could
night,
change
probably.
at any moment.
When do they play LAFC?
Again next week.
What day?
Tuesday or Wednesday.
So it's weekday.
But Messi wasn't training today, so hopefully he's good to go. They're minus 250 Sunday night.
Can't have
so.
that. Cannot have
Need Lou. Need Lou.
If Blue's not playing, we're not watching.
Boys, great work this week, boys. Great work.
Great work, brother.
It was a long week. A lot happened. In the back, great work, boys.
Work, boys.
Work, boys.
AJ, great work, buddy.
Good job,
We have some breaking news here. Big night. AJ, I hate that you never do that. You know, it's trying to build a brand here, trying to build an entire
Delayed.
I understand. And by the time we're done saying you're thinking about saying it, but you don't want to step on anybody. I do respect and appreciate that. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, PPG Paints Arena of next week. It'll be streamed live on YouTube, X, and TikTok Live. The show is going to be outrageous. I think it's going to be outrageous. I am very pumped for the world to see it. We're going to be giving away a shit ton of money that evening. We're going to have some surprise performances from folks, hopefully some sing-alongs, hopefully some laughs, and hopefully a night that people will talk about forever. That will be live on YouTube, X, and TikTok Live, Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Now, there will be a re-air on Thursday of the full show on Hulu at 8 p.m. Eastern. Now, that will also include behind-the-scenes footage. So Hulu was interested in getting the re-air, because they were presented, they didn't really know this was happening until very recently. They said, can we get the re-air, have it live on our platform? I said, sounds good, but I didn't think like the right thing to do would be to just run the same exact show on back-to-back nights, especially because the show is going to be very active for people watching at home live. So it won't be the same experience whenever it's re-air. So we're going to kind of make this a documentary / re-air on Thursday night. Quick turnaround. Going to be a lot of quick editing. Going to be a long-ass night for Evan Fox. But I think on Thursday, 8 p.m., you watch the Masters during the day, obviously. And then whenever you get to 8, we're going to have some behind-the-scenes shit and kind of look at how the sausage was made for Big Night, which has been... I don't want to say a passion project, but I think that's probably an accurate way to kind of describe it. And the people that are going to be a part of the show, I'm so incredibly thankful for. And kind of watching how it all came together will be a part of the Thursday night special on Hulu, which will be available, I believe, for 10 years. Okay, so if you miss it on Thursday at 8 o'clock, it will be up. You will have some time.
Love that.
You will have some time. Shout out to everybody. AJ, great work this week. Boys in the back, great work. To the graphic design boys, way to go.
Hey, baby.
Boys. Work, boys.
GGBs.
Way to go. And to everybody that watches this show, I can't thank you enough. To everybody that has said something positive about me this week, I can't thank you enough, legitimately. There are moments, obviously, in your life where you have doubt about everything, and I feel like we try to be positive and an additive to society as much as possible. I try my absolute best to do that every single day with everything I've ever done. I try to bring good energy. I try to be optimistic. I try my best to lift up the rooms that I am in. I know there's a lot of people that don't necessarily like me or understand me, but I think if you talk to anybody that's ever worked with me, they appreciate that I'm basically the same person every single day. I try to stay as positive as possible, as confident as possible, and try to make the world a better place, legitimately. That doesn't always happen. That is something I missed the mark. And there are some days where I wake up and I don't want to be in public at all because of either what I have done, what I've put myself in, how I feel, what's being said, what's being portrayed, what's the narrative, everything like that. So the people that have shown me love this week, both privately in text messages and also on the internet, I appreciate it. And I understand that life is going to be like this. And I hope that we can continue to be additives. And I think as we watch everything unfold over the next couple weeks, I think we'll continue to try to do that. And we appreciate everybody's patience. I appreciate everybody's fandom. I appreciate everybody following along. And I appreciate the fact that we get to do this for a living every single day. We will see you on Overreaction Monday. You're the greatest people on earth. Be a friend, tell a friend something nice. It might change their life. We're in this thing together. Team on me. Team on 3. 1, 2, 3. Team. Goodbye.